So, first of all, good morning. Should we start? पिछला क्लास में did I ask you people to bring your atlas? आपका क्लास में बोला है नहीं? Answer because you don't ask us, so why should we bring? है ना? Atlas is not. अच्छा, how many of you have bought atlas? खरीद तो लिया है. किसने नहीं खरीदा है? नहीं खरीदा है? कोई बात नहीं, 2-3 महीने और निकालने हैं बस. उसके बाद जरूरत भी नहीं है. ठीक है, तो ज्योग्राफी क्लास में कोशिश किया करो यू टू ब्रिंग द एटलस, यू नो, बिकॉज इट्स अ टूल. नहीं तो हो सके तो कोशिश करिए, लाइए. ओके, एटलीस्ट सड़क पे भी लोगों को पता चलेगा आईएएस का तैयारी कर रहे हैं, है ना. एटलस एटलस लेके घूम रहे हैं अभी तक, तो जरूर आईएएस का तैयारी कर रहे होंगे, है ना. चलो, सो आई कार्ड क्यों लटका के घूम रहे हैं यार गले में तुम? यहाँ कौन पूछने वाला है? हाँ, नहीं अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है मेरे को. एकदम सामने आई कार्ड, मतलब कल से मुझे भी लगा के आना पड़े. बस में डिस्काउंट मिलता है? विजन का बस में डिस्काउंट चलने लग गया यार, तब तो हम ग्रो कर गए सर. वी शुड इन्फॉर्म आवर ऑफिस, है ना. हाँ, सॉरी, मिलता है. कल से रिक्शा वाले से डिस्काउंट मत मांग लेना. हाँ, 2 रुपए कम लो यार, हम विजन का स्टूडेंट है. सारा पैसा उन्होंने लूट लिया, हमारा पास कुछ बचा नहीं. ठीक है, तो ओके, चलो. आप लोग को सुबह सुबह थोड़ा उठाना पड़ता है, यू नो. सब सोए रहते हैं क्लास में भी, तभी उठते हैं जब सर बोल दे गप्पे मार सकते हो. जब थोड़ा मोड़ा, अच्छा ठीक है यार, अलाउड है. अभी तो थोड़ा अलाउड है. ओके, गुड. सो नाउ लेट अस कम बैक टू where we were in the last class. So we were talking of this geostrophic wind thing, okay. And सर प्लीज जियोस्ट्रॉफिक विंड एक्सप्लेन कर दीजिए. तो कल क्या किया था? मतलब यार परसों फिर आगे बोलोगे सर जियोस्ट्रॉफिक विंड एक्सप्लेन कर दीजिए, और नाम भी मेरा ही है, हर्ष. मतलब डुबाने के लिए मेरा ही नाम मिला था तुमका. तो अभी आप क्या करिए हर्ष, कल का वीडियो फिर से देख लीजिए. ओके, आई विल डू अ क्विक रीकैप ऑफ व्हाट इट इज, राइट. सो व्हाट डिड वी अंडरस्टैंड एंड द आंसर्स हैव टू कम फ्रॉम यू. सो व्हाट डिड वी लर्न इन टर्म्स ऑफ, पहला मुझे लो प्रेशर वाला विंड बता दो अराउंड सर्कुलर आइसोबार्स. सो लो प्रेशर सर्कुलर आइसोबार याद है? हाँ, एवरीवन रिमेंबर्स. So what was happening in that low pressure circular isobar? Where were the low pressure? At the center, ठीक है. And where was the high pressure? At the pole. सर्कुलर आइसोबार में पोल किधर से आ गया? मतलब ये सब कुछ मिला, इसीलिए कहता हूं सुबह आप लोगों को पहले 5 मिनट उठाना पड़ता है. हाँ, आउटर सर्कल. सो ऑन द आउटर सर्कल there is high pressure and at the center there is low pressure. So the pressure gradient is towards the high pressure to low pressure. ठीक है. And because of that the wind tries to move towards the center, and then which force comes into play in the northern hemisphere? Coriolis force towards the right. So the wind starts to move anti-clockwise circular. ठीक है. And then lastly कौन सा force था? So anti-clockwise circular motion किसका वजह से हो रहा है? Why is it happening? Because of Coriolis force and pressure gradient force. These two forces together only give you circular motion. And for getting the final Spiral motion, which third force has to come into play? Frictional force. And where does frictional force apply? Where? How नहीं पूछा है. Where और how में अंतर है. On the surface. Why? Because friction is felt only on the surface. Upper atmosphere there is no friction. यहाँ तक clear है? ठीक है. So basically that's what you learned in this diagram. ये वाला diagram में. ठीक है. यही पढ़ा था ना? Okay. Now when you're talking of geostrophic winds, ठीक है. अब geostrophic wind के अंदर हमने क्या पढ़ा? Where is the center? Center इसमें कहाँ है? पोल पे. और आउटर सर्कल कौन सा है? इक्वेटर. वेयर इज द हाई प्रेशर? वेयर इज द हाई प्रेशर? यार कुछ भी बोलोगे ना तो फिर सुबह सुबह मैं भी गुस्सा हो सकता हूं. मतलब ऐसा थोड़ी कि हर रोज बस आप ही, है ना? तो कॉपी देख के बोलो. अगर याद नहीं है तो एटलीस्ट कॉपी तो चेक करो. हाई प्रेशर एट द पोल. कल यही पढ़ाया आपको. हाँ, where is the high pressure? In the upper atmosphere. We are talking of geostrophic wind. Geostrophic wind blows where? In the upper atmosphere. At the equator, what do we have? High pressure. At the pole, what do we have? Low pressure. So which pressure gradient is from? High pressure to low pressure. जो अभी आप थोड़ी देर पहले बात कर रहे थे. The only difference is in that case you are taking one small region. This time you are taking the whole half globe. आधा ग्लोब ले रहे हो. फर्क क्या पड़ता है? लॉस तो वही रहेंगे. Laws will remain the same. So what do you have? So the pressure gradient is this way, and then in the northern hemisphere, as the wind starts going toward the pole, ऐसा. Just imagine, apply this here. पहले आप उसको छोटा छोटा लोकेशन पे अप्लाई कर रहे थे, like Delhi, Bombay, Kolkata. Now apply it on the whole half hemisphere. So if you just superimpose this diagram here, क्या मिलेगा? आ रहा है समझ में? So basically, which two forces are acting here? Pressure gradient and Coriolis force in the northern hemisphere bending to the right. So the wind will start moving circular anti-clockwise. वही तो पढ़ा था अभी. कल वही लिखा है ना लास्ट में. लिखा नहीं है, समझा है. So that is your circular geostrophic wind. उसी को बोला था. Yes or no? Will it spiral? Why? No Coriolis force upper atmosphere. ठीक है. So because no frictional force upper atmosphere. So because the frictional force is absent, so basically your only circular motion takes place, and that circular motion is what we call as the geostrophic wind. तो हो गया खत्म. यही था geostrophic wind. ठीक है ना? So everyone understands what is geostrophic wind. So geostrophic wind is a upper atmospheric wind blowing in both the hemispheres. In what direction? West to east, going circular around the earth. Is this okay? Clear? Now, what is the latitude at which this bending completely takes place? ये जो bending हमने कल पढ़ा था, at what latitude does this bending take place? At around 30 degree. ये जो bending है, ये वाला, this bending, this one, this takes place somewhere around. So latitude of this region is 30 degree. This is one additional thing. Dictate मैंने कल कुछ भी नहीं किया है. We have just drawn. ठीक है. But if in that drawing, if you want, you can incorporate this, that the latitude of this region is 30 degrees. Is that okay? So समझ में सब कुछ आ गया? Clear है? तो अभी लिख सकते हैं. मतलब should we write? लिख लें. थोड़ा geostrophic wind कॉपी में रहेगा. ठीक है. So did I dictate geostrophic wind? कर दिया है. Very good. ठीक है. So did you write the latitude of geostrophic wind? हाँ, वो अभी लिख लीजिए. The geostrophic winds blow east to west. Sorry. Geostrophic wind blows west to east approximately over 30 degree latitude. 30 degree latitude in the upper atmosphere. 30 degree latitude in the upper atmosphere. Full stop. Similar winds are also formed over 60 degree latitude. Similar winds are also formed over 60 degree latitude. Okay, so they are also geostrophic winds, right? Also known as geostrophic winds of that region. Write down, also known as geostrophic winds of that region. Also known as geostrophic winds of that region. The formation of which is not within our syllabus. ठीक है, formation इसका नहीं करना है हमें 60 degree वाले का. Alright, we just have to do this 30 degree one. Right, so formation of that 60 degree geostrophic wind, we have to just know that there is a geostrophic wind, but we don't have to get into the formation because that's slightly more complexer formation. It does not require, it does not depend completely on the 3 cell model that we have done. तो आपका NCERT के अंदर 3 cell model है. कौन सा 3 cells? Hadley, Farrell and polar cell. ठीक है, वो जो हमारा geostrophic wind दूसरा उसका लेवल पे है, that requires some more dynamic understanding of the atmosphere, which is not given in our syllabus. Therefore, we don't do the formation. But that geostrophic wind will do. Is that okay? So इतना समझ में आ गया? ठीक है, very good. So that's it. This is your geostrophic winds. Done, completed. Now let us come to next part. So once we do this much, then the next thing is coming back to उसका पहले हमने क्या किया था? Just a quick recap. Copy में देखो क्या किया है इसका just पहले. Wind movement on non-rotating earth, and then we started wind movement on rotating earth. और rotating earth के अंदर the first thing we did was understanding of geostrophic winds so as to better understand how winds are created on a rotating earth. So now let us come back to winds on the rotating earth. ठीक है, so winds over the rotating earth surface or winds over rotating earth, winds over rotating earth. Zero degree, 90 degree and center of earth. And then in this diagram we'll also draw two more latitudes, 30 degree and 60 degree. वो भी बना लेंगे, ठीक है. And then in the upper atmosphere let us draw the tropopause. ऐसा. Alright, so this is the tropopause. Okay. Now at 0 degree, now let us go on applying the same logic that we have learned earlier. और थोड़ा सा ट्रोपोपॉज दूर बनाइएगा, नहीं तो आपको बहुत छोटा सा जगह में बहुत कुछ बनाना पड़ेगा. आप कैसा करेंगे, है ना? चलो ट्राई करो. डायग्राम बनाने में भी आप लोग वही, फिर मैं जैसा बार बार बोलता हूँ क्लास में, मिडिल क्लास मेंटालिटी, बचाओ बचाओ. थोड़ा सा पेपर है वो भी बचा लो. तो वो जबकि उस साइड में इतना सारा जगह छोड़ रखा है अपने बच्चे, है ना, वो तो वेस्ट हो जाएगा. चलो कोई बात नहीं, नो प्रॉब्लम, ट्राई. ठीक है, नहीं होगा तो फिर से बनाना, या साइड में बनाना, दैट्स ओके. नाउ लेट अस कम एंड सी हियर. So if I ask you what is the temperature condition over the equatorial region with respect to the polar region? Warm. So this region is warm, and hence what pressure do I get? So low pressure, and because of this, how will the air move? The winds will tend to move. Very good. जो भी आप बोल रहे हैं, ठीक है, ऐसा ही होगा ना. दिस इज व्हाट वी हैव डन. कल भी ऐसा ही बहाया है विंड्स, ठीक है. एंड इन द अपर एटमॉस्फेयर वी हैव अ हाई प्रेशर. This high pressure is mechanical, that low pressure was thermal, and the winds will blow ठीक है, something like this. Right now, as this wind will start moving toward the 30 degree, what will happen to it? The upper atmosphere wala wind. It will reach around 30 degree, and what will it turn into? अभी आपने पढ़ा थोड़ी देर पहले. This wind in the upper atmosphere moving from equator toward the pole, by the time it reaches 30 degree, will turn into geostrophic winds, which means it will start moving from, right now it is moving from equator to pole, then it will start moving west to east. So somewhere here, this wind will start moving west to east. Okay, which means that if this is the earth and this wind was going like this, so starts like this, keeps going, and then it will turn, and then it will become like this, and then it will start going around the earth. Aisa? है ना? Everyone agrees? Right? So this wind in this region starts to move west to east, something like this. ऐसा. ठीक है? ऐसा move करने लगता है. Right? In the upper atmosphere. So basically, and is the wind coming from only one place on the latitude or the whole of the equatorial region? Whole of the equatorial region. So you can just imagine, थोड़ा imagination लाना है यहाँ पे. Just imagine this to be a national highway, and just imagine these to be the side roads, and the traffic is one way or two way. ये traffic कैसा है? One way, right? It is a one way traffic, and just imagine this is a ring road of the city. जैसा city में ring road होता है ना? Ring road, everyone understands. The round road. So there is a round road, and from everywhere there is one way traffic on the ring road. ठीक है, तो ultimately क्या होगा ring road पे? Traffic from all the side, cars will just keep coming, and ultimately the road will have what? Blocked. Why? Why will it get blocked? Because more and more things are coming into it, and nothing is going out. बाहर तो कुछ जा नहीं रहे, वो सिर्फ राउंड राउंड चक्कर मार रहे हैं, and then more and more wind is coming in. So the same thing happens at the higher latitude there. Can you imagine? Upper atmosphere में क्या हो रहा है? Wind is coming from all direction, मतलब this region, and then it is just going around. ठीक है? So ultimately at this place, what will you start experiencing? Suppose this is that upper atmospheric wind, and suppose you are south, this is north, I am pole, and this is west, this is east, right? And this is ground, and you know that is upper atmosphere. So what will this wind experience? This is the wind in that 30 degree. So can it easily move forward? Why? आगे आराम से जाता जा सकता है. Can it continue to always go forward easily? Why? Because of I didn't get you. Blockage. Simple. There is too much of air getting accumulated in that region. Traffic jam है ना? So traffic jam में can you go forward? Okay. Can you reverse and go backward? Can this wind go eastward? No. Can it go westward? Can it go poleward? What will stop it from going poleward? What will stop it? Coriolis force. Can it go towards equator? What will stop it? Pressure gradient. तो कितना डायरेक्शन कैंसिल कर दिया आपने? Can it go forward? East, west, north, south, sky. ऊपर जा सकता है? हाँ, एकदम छेद करके कोई बात नहीं, मैं तो I am under high pressure, I am leaving, I won't remain on the earth. हाँ, can it go? Why? What is the upper limit? So what is left? अब बचा क्या उसके पास? हाँ, जिसका कोई नहीं होता उसकी माँ होती है ना? यहाँ पे कौन है माँ? मदर अर्थ, है ना? और ग्रेविटी का लव. ठीक है. सो अल्टीमेटली कौन बुलाएगा उसको? ग्रेविटी का लव. किधर को? डाउन टू दी अर्थ. अरे समझ में? ठीक है. सो वेयर विल दिस विंड गो देन? Do you understand now why this wind tends to descend? Why? Because it can neither go eastward nor go westward nor go north nor go south nor go upward. कहीं जा ही नहीं सकता बेचारा. ठीक है. And hence, under the influence of gravity, that wind tends to descend down because that becomes the easiest option. Because nothing is blocking it from moving earthwards. Rather, there is a gravity to assist it. ठीक है. Is that all right? Do we understand? So this motion is due to heating, cooling, or it is due to mechanical reasons? प्योरली मैकेनिकल रीजन, पीछे से ट्रैफिक आ रहा है, सो इट हैज टू मूव समवेयर. ठीक है, सो दिस इज अ मैकेनिकली क्रिएटेड कंडीशन. नाउ प्लीज टेल मी, हाउ इज द विंड मूविंग इन दिस रीजन? हॉरिजॉन्टली, हॉरिजॉन्टली, वर्टिकली? कौन सा प्रेशर कंडीशन है ये? व्हाट प्रेशर कंडीशन? कॉपी में चेक करो. हॉरिजॉन्टली इनवर्ड, वर्टिकली आउटवर्ड. मैं इस बार ना अगली बार से उल्टा लटकाने वाला हूं तुम सबको. हाँ, ऐसा मतलब सुना है ना क्लास में सर बोलते थे ना मुर्गा बना देंगे, तो अगली बार से क्लास में मुर्गा बना देंगे, देख लेना, रोटी चावल घर से ले आना. ठीक है, ठीक है. ओके सर, सॉरी, वेजिटेरियन बुरा मान जाएंगे? कोई बात नहीं, वो रोटी चावल खा लेंगे. ठीक है, इंडिया में बहुत टाइप का वेजिटेरियन होता है, कुछ ग्रेविटेरियंस भी होते हैं. होता है ना ग्रेविटेरियंस, वो सिर्फ ग्रेवी खाते हैं. है ना. फिर कुछ बोनलेस टेरियंस भी होते हैं, है ना, बोन वाला नहीं चाहिए, विदाउट बोन दे दो. दिस इज हाउ यू ग्रेजुअली टर्न नॉन वेजिटेरियन. है ना, पहला ग्रेवी खाते हैं, फिर बोन्स के बिना खाते हैं, फिर धीरे धीरे. एनीवेज, अभी मैं क्लास में कोई मुर्गा वर्गा नहीं बनाने वाला हूँ, उल्टा जरूर लटका दूंगा. अगली बार से ध्यान से पढ़ के बोल. आप लोग ऐसे ही बोलते रहते हो यार, कुछ भी मुंह में जो मन में आया, ठीक है, कुछ ना कुछ बोल दो. दो तीन लोग हैं, तू ये बोल, मैं ये बोलता हूँ, कुछ ना कुछ तो राइट ही होगा. ठीक है, ओके, यस. व्हाट प्रेशर? अपर एटमॉस्फेयर. तो अभी समझ में आया, हाई प्रेशर नहीं है. ओके, सो व्हाट प्रेशर? दिस इज अ लो प्रेशर क्रिएटेड mechanically, and hence on the surface how will the wind behave? 30 degree. Vertically, vertically in, horizontally. यहाँ पे once the wind will fall on the ground, ऐसा पानी suppose गिर रहा है, where will that water go? Split both the sides, so the wind will go something like this. So what kind of pressure am I finding here? High pressure created mechanically. क्या समझ में? ये सुनो, इसीलिए मैंने शुरू में आपको याद करवाया था. यू जस्ट हैव टू रिमेंबर द विंड डायरेक्शन. द विंड डायरेक्शंस टेल यू वेदर इट इज अ हाई प्रेशर और लो प्रेशर. सो व्हेन द विंड इज मूविंग हॉरिजॉन्टली आउट, वर्टिकली इन, हॉरिजॉन्टली आउट, वर्टिकली इन, हाई प्रेशर. इट कैन बी क्रिएटेड थर्मली, इट कैन बी क्रिएटेड एंड सेम वेज ऑपोजिट. ठीक है ना? इज दैट ओके? तो अगर सब भूल जाओ तो याद क्या करना है, कोई भी जमीन गर्म कर दो, अपने आप लॉजिक बता देगा. राइट, व्हेन यू हैव एनी रीजन बिकमिंग वार्म, व्हाट विल हैपन? इसीलिए आपको सारा स्टेप्स लिखवाया है. व्हेन द ग्राउंड बिकम्स वार्म, द एयर बिकम्स हॉट, हॉट एयर expands, when it expands it becomes lighter, hence it tends to rise. So vertically out and therefore horizontally. कौन सा प्रेशर है? लो प्रेशर, थर्मली क्रिएटेड. तो वो आप कहीं भी बना सकते हो, उससे यू कैन ऑलवेज फिगर आउट द विंड डायरेक्शंस. ठीक है, इज दैट ओके? तो याद वाद कुछ नहीं रखना है, सिर्फ लॉजिक याद रखना है. ठीक है, चलेगा. नाउ इन डायग्राम, व्हाई विंड मूव लो प्रेशर टू हाई प्रेशर एंड हाउ इट इज पॉसिबल? Why wind move low pressure to high pressure? धीरज, वॉच कल कराया था, परसों कराया था ये. वर्टिकली वी डोंट मेजर प्रेशर डे बिफोर यस्टरडे. सो धीरज प्लीज वॉच डे बिफोर यस्टरडेज वीडियो. आप परसों का वीडियो नहीं देखा, इसीलिए यू आर आस्किंग मी दिस क्वेश्चन. ओके, रिवाइज एंड देन कम बैक. इफ यू स्टिल फाइंड द क्वेश्चन, आस्क मी अगेन. ऑलराइट, सो आई होप दिस मच इज क्लियर टू एवरीवन, राइट? So now tell me, once this wind comes to the surface, can you see one loop completed? Loop दिख रहा है? कहां से कहां तक? Between which latitudes? 0 to 30 degree. How? What are we finding at the equator? Surface पे pressure क्या है वो बोलो? Low pressure. And tropic 30 degree pressure on the surface, high pressure. Wind is moving from tropic to equator and completing one cycle. So one cycle completed. दिख रहा है ना? This one, right? So this is one cycle completed here. All right, let me put it in a bluish color, ऐसा. ठीक है? Now, at the same time, part of this wind is going 30 degree also, because once the wind will come down to the surface, it will spread in both the sides. Mechanical है, ठीक है? So it will spread both sides. So from 30 degree, part of the wind is going where? towards pole. At the same time, what is the temperature at the pole? Temperature at the pole क्या है? Cold. Hence, what pressure? Created thermally. So wind will move horizontally outward and vertically inward. ऐसा ठीक है. And in the upper atmosphere of the pole, what will we have? Low pressure. So wind will move vertically out and horizontally in. ऐसा clear है? Okay. Now please see these two regions, 90 degree and 30 degree. From 90 degree, the wind is moving towards कुछ लोगों को मुर्गा बनने का ना मतलब रेस लगा हुआ है सर, पहला मुर्गा मेरा बनेगा. Okay. Yes, so from 90 degree, the wind is moving towards tropic, है ना? And from tropic, 30 degree, the wind is moving towards equator. मतलब सर वो अकेला मुर्गा कैसे बनेगा? मेरा भी बनाओ. क्या हो गया यार आप लोग को? मतलब why are you in a race to give answers? There is no race happening here. Your answer should be right. है ना? ये कौन बनेगा करोड़पति थोड़ी है. नहीं, कौन बनेगा करोड़पति में नहीं होता, ऐसा स्कूल क्विज में होता है ना, जो सबसे पहला आंसर दे दो. वैसा थोड़ी है यार कि सबसे पहला आंसर देना है. डोंट बी इन अ हरी टू गिव आंसर. दिस इज अ रॉन्ग हैबिट दैट यू पीपल हैव. दैट्स एग्जैक्टली व्हाई मेनी टाइम्स योर प्रीलिम्स क्वेश्चंस आर आल्सो रॉन्ग. वो जो टेस्ट देते रहते हो ना आप लोग, सर ये देखो, फिर मेरे पास आते हो, मैं बोलता हूँ ध्यान से पढ़ो. अच्छा सॉरी. वो सिर्फ अच्छा सुनने के लिए मेरे पास आया था. ठीक है, थोड़ा धैर्य धरो बालक और बालिकाओं. ठीक है, थोड़ा धैर्य धरो. ऐसा जल्दीबाजी में डोंट बी इन अ हरी टू गिव आंसर्स. ओके, सो वेयर विल दे मीट? व्हाट डू यू थिंक? From 90 and 30, if they are moving towards each other, which is the best, most ideal condition to meet? 60 डिग्री, है ना? ये सब आप लाइफ में बहुत बार कर चुके हैं. आपका दोस्त उधर, आप इधर, आप बोले बीच में मिलते हैं. कौन तेरे घर तक आएगा? ठीक है ना? सो बीच में मिलते हैं. सो व्हाट इज दैट बीच का प्लेस? 60 डिग्री. सो व्हाट विल हैपन एट 60 डिग्री? विंड विल कम फ्रॉम हाई प्रेशर पोल and the other high pressure tropic, and from both the region horizontally the wind is moving inward at the 60 degree, and hence it will vertically move outward. So this region, what pressure will we get? Low pressure created. Is it because of heating cooling or it is because of air movement? So this is again mechanical, simple. ठीक है? And this air will go in the upper atmosphere. Half of it will go towards pole, half of it will go towards tropic. Once you do that, कितना circle बन गया? कितना? How many loops do you add up? Total 3 loops. Can you see? दिख रहा है? So you have in all 3 loops created. All right. So we have total 3 loops created this way. Is that okay? Right? Now there is something more that will assist this whole phenomena. कुछ और चीज assist भी कर रहा है. What is that? Please see. When you talk of the pole, pole is not a line. Pole is a place. It's a small place. Okay? So just imagine when the wind will try to move from the pole, which is this small place, in all directions, it will tend to expand or contract. Just imagine. जब यहां से wind is going in all directions from this place outwards, it will expand or contract? Expand. ठीक है? So that's how horizontally the wind tends to expand when it goes away from pole. So pole पे pressure क्या था? कितना भी बोलो सर, हम नहीं सुधरने वाले. पोल पे प्रेशर क्या था? हाई. So from that high, as the wind goes out, it mechanically becomes low. This is due to expansion only. वो mechanical है. यहाँ पे heating cooling से नहीं हो रहा है. It is just because it is going from a narrow region to a wider region. It tends to, cool down and all that. ठीक है? And expand and all that. Is this clear? जैसा मान लो funnel होता है ना? So when the water flows out of the funnel, because the outer part is wide, so the water tends to expand and slow down. At the funnel it is very fast. Is that okay? So keep this characteristic of pole in your mind. Pole is not a line, it is a point. So anything going toward the pole will tend to get contracted, and anything going away from the pole will tend to expand over a wider region. Is this okay? Okay. So now this is basically the wind movement for a rotating earth. Is it different from the wind movement that you did earlier for the non-rotating earth? दिख रहा है ना difference है दोनों में? वहां पे there was one loop, here you have 3 loops. And what are the names of these 3 loops? बुक से बताओ क्या लिखा है नाम? एक का नाम, तीनों का नाम चाहिए. Hadley cell. So this is called as Hadley. The one which is between, Hadley is between what latitudes? Latitudes 0 to 30 degree. And then between 30 to 60 degree, Ferrel cell. And between 60 to 90 degree, polar cell. That's it. Okay. So these are the 3 cells that you get created in on a rotating earth. All right, Raman, I hope you understand how that, sir, I hope you are also answering these small questions which keep coming, right? Very good. So this is how on a rotating earth the 3 cells are created. Okay, clear? And this way you also understand how on the earth's surface between 0 degree to 90 degree pressure regions are created. Pressure regions भी समझ में आ गया. For example, equator what pressure? Equator what pressure? Low pressure created thermally. 30 degree that is subtropic. 30 degree को हम क्या बोलते हैं? Subtropic. So subtropic what pressure? Created 60 degree. नाम क्या है रीजन का? Subpolar, not polar. Polar होता है 66. This is subpolar. 60 degree is subpolar. ठीक है? So what pressure? Low pressure created mechanically, and 90 degree high pressure created. That's it. ये 4 pressures है in one hemisphere, and same ways in the other also you will have 4 belt, but there is one common belt. Common belt कौन सा है दोनों हेमिस्फीयर में? हाँ, कॉमन कौन सा है? कौन सा लो प्रेशर? नाम चाहिए उसका. इक्वेटोरियल लो प्रेशर. ठीक है. सो इक्वेटोरियल. सो सी हियर, कैन यू सी इन दिस डायग्राम? देखो ध्यान से. ऑलराइट. सो व्हाट डू यू हैव? द कॉमन बेल्ट इज इक्वेटोरियल लो प्रेशर. सो टोटल हाउ मेनी बेल्ट्स डू वी हैव? हेंस 7, नॉट 8. 7 बेल्ट्स है. ठीक है. एक बेल्ट डबल हो जाता है, मतलब इक्वेटोरियल बेल्ट is 2 belts joined together. It's a common belt. Okay, so we call it as equatorial. And how will it work? The northern equatorial will get the wind from north side, and southern equatorial will get the wind from south side. Okay, and both those winds will come at equatorial and then rise vertically. Okay, so this is your pressure belt. So basically, do we understand the pressure belts? The pressure belts समझ में आया? Total 7 pressure belts on the earth. Everyone is clear? Now we call them as these pressure regions. I'm using the word, I didn't tell you, the belt. जैसा मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना, pressure belt. तो belt का मतलब क्या होता है? Belt is like the belt that you wear. ठीक है. So it is something which is circumferencing you, isn't it? So this is also what a pressure circumference region है, वो है ना, पूरा अर्थ को सर्कल है. So therefore we call it as a pressure belt. तो इसको pressure belt बोलते हैं. So which are the major pressure belts on the earth? You understand? Total 7 pressure belts. Very good. And between these pressure belts, just by applying the logic that you have learned, can you tell me between the pressure belts which atmospheric air cells will be formed? Atmospheric cells कौन सा है? Equator और subtropic का बीच में cell. कॉपी से देख सकते हैं आगे, है ना? So everyone, Hadley cell between equator and tropic. Between tropic and subpole, Ferrel cell, and between subpole and pole, polar cell. These 3 cells are also clear, and those 3 cells are basically made up of 2 winds. कौन कौन सा wind है उसमें? Every cell is made up of 2 winds. One, द सरफेस विंड एंड द अपर, द सेकेंड अपर एटमॉस्फेरिक विंड. दोनों सेल, सारे सेल में देखो है कि नहीं है. इन ऑल योर सेल्स यू हैव अ सरफेस विंड, राइट, एंड यू ऑल्सो हैव अ अपर एटमॉस्फेरिक. आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग ऑफ जियोस्ट्रॉफिक विंड हियर. अपर एटमॉस्फेरिक विंड, हर एक सेल के अंदर एक अपर एटमॉस्फेरिक विंड है. ठीक है, कौन सा? ये वाला, this part. This is the upper atmospheric wind and this is the surface wind. Can you see? So in each of these cells there is a surface wind and there is a upper atmospheric wind. Do we agree, all of us? And in addition to this you also have the other upper atmospheric wind such as geostrophic wind. But geostrophic wind is not only within a cell. ठीक है, geostrophic wind blows somewhere here. इन दोनों का बीच में यहां बह रहा है. Can you see? So this is one part, this is another one, and geostrophic is somewhere here, and it is moving west to east. These winds are not moving west to east, they are moving north south. Is this okay? Clear hai? ठीक है. So basically if I ask you that in all these three cells that we have, Hadley, Ferrel and Polar, we have surface winds as well as upper atmosphere. But which ones are we most interested in? Which ones are the ones where we live? We live in the surface wind region, तो हमें surface wind समझना है. Upper atmosphere doesn't affect us too much. ठीक है. So let us try to understand the surface winds of these regions. Should we? कुछ दूसरा major doubt तो नहीं है? पक्का? Okay. So now you only have to give me the answer. हाँ जी बोलो. Listening बोलते जाओ यार. Geostrophic winds. कांस्टेंट हो जाती है, ना वो ईस्ट, ना वो नॉर्थ जाती है, ना वो साउथ जाती. हाँ, ऐसा नहीं है कि वो कांस्टेंट हो करके एंड इट स्टॉप्स. इट डज नॉट स्टॉप, इट कीप्स ब्लोइंग, राइट. इट इज स्लो ट्रैफिक मूवमेंट which keeps happening. So it's not even slow because in that upper atmosphere it's fast with respect to us. It is fast for that region. It is slow. ठीक है. For example, in the city you drive at a speed of 20 kilometers. When you go on a national highway and if you are driving 60 kilometers, that is fast as per city. But for the national highway, it is slow because the upper limit on many of those expressways is 120 kilometers. है ना. तो उसका अपर लिमिट के हिसाब से आप कम चल रहे हैं, बट सिटी के हिसाब से तो आप तेज बह रहे हैं. अरे समझ में. तो द सेम वेज इन दीज अपर एटमॉस्फेयर व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग ऑफ दोस जियोस्ट्रॉफिक विंड्स, दोस जियोस्ट्रॉफिक विंड्स आर मूविंग फास्ट एज पर अस, बट फॉर दैट रीजन दे आर स्लो. दे कुड हैव मूव फास्टर इफ देयर वाज नो कंजेशन ऑफ दिस काइंड. डज दैट आंसर? ठीक है. और कुछ? ओके, सो कम बैक एंड गिव मी द आंसर्स. इतना समझ में आ गया तो अभी आगे का आंसर दीजिए. What is the direction of the surface wind between 0 and 30 degree? From where to where? Between 0 and 30 degree, the wind is moving from which to which? From which to which? Options are 30 to 60, 60 to 30, or cannot be determined. Between 0 and 30 degree, wind is moving from. अच्छा, कौन सा प्रेशर से कौन सा प्रेशर जाना चाहिए? Which is the high? Which is the low? So इतना सोचना क्यों पड़ रहा है? ठीक. हाँ, 30 to 0 ऑप्शन ही नहीं दिया आपने, 30-60 दे दिया. गलती से बोल दिया होगा यार. ठीक है, इतना गलती तो मेरा भी ये थोड़ी कि आप सर अब आपका भी बनाएंगे. ठीक है, मैं प्योरली वेजिटेरियन हूँ, मेरे साथ ये सब उल्टा पुल्टा काम नहीं करना है. मैं ग्रेविटेरियन भी नहीं हूँ. ऑलराइट, इतना तो चलता है ना, थोड़ा अलाउ कर दिया करो मुझे भी, है ना. ओल्ड एज हो रहा है ना. हाँ बोलो. इन ट्रॉपिक देयर इज मोर टेम्परेचर देन इक्वेटर. हाँ जी. तो ये बना क्या है? कौन सा? तो अभी वहीं पे रुके रहो, थर्मल आ जाएगा, समझेंगे बाद में आराम से. ठीक है, सब कुछ एक ही मिनट में समझ लोगे. हाँ, चिकन देखते ही तंदूरी तंदूरी चिल्लाना शुरू हो गए. थोड़ा वेट करो, अभी थोड़ा मसाला लगने दो. ठीक है, बनेगा. आपका बात भी माना जाएगा, थोड़ा टाइम है अभी. ओके. अच्छा, आप में से कितने वेजिटेरियन है प्योरली? ओह शिट, आई एम सो सॉरी यार. आप लोग का इमोशंस आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड. ठीक है, तो ओके. राइट, कमिंग बैक, मतलब इतना सीरियसली इतने आप लोग वेजिटेरियन हो इस क्लास में? यार मतलब मुझे तो लगता था कि बड़ा, मतलब इट्स गुड, गुड टू फाइंड, है ना, इतना सेंसिटिव जनरेशन है आप लोग का। मुझे तो लगता था कि एकदम ही टूट पड़ो टाइप हो गए। ओके, गुड गुड, चलो अच्छा है। सो और इसमें से कितने लोग अभी आईएएस का तैयारी के ड्यूरिंग बने हैं वेजिटेरियंस? होता है ना कई बार, भगवान हमारा ये बात मान लो। ऊपर वाला प्लीज एक बार आईएएस करा दो। Okay. Okay. So basically, between 30 and 0 degree, the wind moves from what to what? 30 to 0. So this is, let us go on drawing them. ठीक है, उसको साथ साथ बनाते भी हैं. So from the subtropic, the wind should move somewhat like this, 30 to 0, ऐसा should move, ठीक है, and in both the hemisphere ऐसा होना चाहिए somewhat, alright, right, and between 30 and 60, from which to which? 30 and 60, from which to which should the wind go? 30 to 60, because again high pressure to low pressure, ठीक है, so between 30 and 60 also it should go something like this, ऐसा, and between 90 and 60, 90 to 60, simple है, ठीक है. So now broadly you understand that if I give you the latitude, you can tell me the wind should move from which to which, ठीक है ना, लैटिट्यूड वाइज बता सकते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल इफ आई आस्क यू 35 डिग्री पे कौन विंड डायरेक्शन कैसा होगा, फ्रॉम वेयर टू वेयर? 35 डिग्री फ्रॉम 30 टू 60, ट्रॉपिक टू सब पोल, है ना, बोल सकते हैं ना ऐसा. सो आर यू गेटिंग अ सेंस? ठीक है, वेरी गुड. सो दिस इज द ब्रॉड डायरेक्शन with respect to which you are considering which force here right now. Which force are you taking into consideration? Pressure, gradient, force, वही force आप ले रहे. But have you taken the effect of Coriolis force into this? No, तो अभी Coriolis force का effect भी लगाते हैं. So in the northern hemisphere, if you apply Coriolis force, northern hemisphere, so wind should start bending towards right of the direction of the wind. ठीक है, so this wind which is moving from tropic to equator, if this has to bend towards its right, the wind moving from tropic to equator in northern hemisphere has to bend towards its right. All of you have to answer, तो ध्यान से सुन लो. If this wind tropic to equator has to bend towards right, what direction should it bend? East or west? All of us agree. So this wind should actually not be like this. It should be somewhat like ऐसा. डू वी एग्री? ठीक है ना, ऐसा विंड होना चाहिए, थोड़ा वेस्ट बेंड होगा. एंड व्हाट विल नॉट अलाउ इट टू बेंड कंप्लीटली? Frictional force will try to pull it slightly. So this wind will not go on bending like that. Friction will push it in the other direction and hence it will move slightly slanting. ठीक है, so due to friction it will not go on bending because friction will pull it in the other direction. Is that okay? ठीक है, now same ways in the southern hemisphere, 0 to 30 degree, what direction should it bend? 0 and 30 degree wala wind, left, so west again. So this wind will also move like this. Yes or no? Anyone has a doubt, please ask me. Clear hai? Right? So 0 to 30 degree wind, 0 and 30 degree wind will always be toward the west and coming from east. ठीक है, चलो अब दूसरा बताइए. 30 and 60 degree, 30 and 60 degree northern hemisphere, bend to the right. So right इधर किधर है? East. So this wind should bend to the east. Clear? Any doubt? Okay. And in the southern hemisphere, bend to the ये वाला wind. Bend to left or right? Left. So if this is bending left while it is moving, so it will go east or west? If you are going in a car like this and if you have to turn your car to the left, so it will bend to the east or left? East or west? East. Everyone agrees? West तो कोई भी नहीं है ना. Left right तो सबका clear है ना लाइफ में, है ना. या वो भी मोमेंट के हिसाब से सर, डिपेंडिंग ऑन डायरेक्शन हमारा लेफ्ट हैंड चेंज होकर राइट बन जाता है. ऐसा तो नहीं है ना? हाँ, पक्का. सो दिस विंड विल ओके. एंड लास्ट वन, पोलर विंड. नॉर्दर्न हेमिस्फीयर पोलर विंड. नॉर्दर्न हेमिस्फीयर ये वाला विंड, इट हैज टू बेंड टू द राइट. राइट तो किधर बेंड होगा? वेस्ट और ईस्ट? लाइक दिस. और नीचे वाला हेमिस्फीयर में भी वेस्ट, ऐसा. क्लियर? सो ऑल ऑफ यू आर गेटिंग दीज डायरेक्शंस फॉर द विंड ऑन द सरफेस ऑफ द अर्थ. कॉपी में चेक करो. ऑल ऑफ यू आर गेटिंग दिस विंड, फाइनल विंड डायरेक्शन फॉर द ऑन द सरफेस ऑफ द अर्थ. आई कांट कम टू ईच ऑफ यू, बट ये विंड डायरेक्शंस गलत नहीं होना चाहिए. आई वुड रादर रिकमेंड दैट यू ड्रॉ इट सेपरेटली, वेयर यू आर नॉट ड्रॉइंग द नॉर्थ साउथ लाइन्स. उसके बिना एक और छोटा डायग्राम बनाओ, जैसा अभी बोर्ड पे आपको दिख रहा है. I have removed all the north south lines and I have just kept the east to west or west to east lines. वैसा एक साफ डायग्राम बनाइए and then match it. Okay. डन. और अभी कौन कौन बना रहे हैं? थोड़ा सा जल्दी करिए प्लीज, थोड़ा जल्दी. हो गया? Okay. So hopefully all of you are having the same wind direction in your copies. ठीक है ना? पक्का? Okay. Very good. So how do these winds look like in on the real Earth, right? If I have to show you a 3-dimensional image, first let me show you a 3-dimensional image of the wind on a non-rotating Earth. So non-rotating Earth में how many loops were there in every hemisphere? Non-rotating Earth आपका कॉपी में कितना लूप है? 1 loop. So with that 1 loop, if we draw, it will look something like this, right? A part of that loop is cut so that you can see. तो आपको दिख रहा है? In one hemisphere you have 1 loop and in the other you have another one. ठीक है? But this is not the real rotating Earth. So in the real rotating Earth, what will it look like? Something like this. Can you see those rings, right, or tubes of air? है ना? दिख रहा है वो एक ट्यूब है ऐसा पूरा wrapping around the earth. and then there's a 30 to 60 degree tube, and there is a top cover in both the hemispheres. Can you see? So this is how those winds are. Okay, and this is your surface winds, the ones that you have just now drawn, and in the upper atmosphere also we have winds. Okay, so this is how it will look like in a three-dimensional kind of a image. Clear hai? Is that okay? Okay, very good. So now coming back to the and this is how the winds would be somewhat ऐसा ये वाला wind का जैसा on the surface. This is your surface winds. ठीक है, between pressure belts, different pressure belts and the winds. So how do we name them? अब इसका naming समझते हैं. Should we? So दो तरीका है फिर से, या तो रट लो या समझ लो. ठीक है, so we'll try to understand rather than mug it up. ठीक है. Now I hope you remember when we were doing currents, ocean currents. हमने किया था ocean current कहीं पे, थोड़ा मोड़ा टच किया है. So what did I tell you? How do we name the ocean currents? Based on the direction from of how do we from based on the place from which they come. किया था ना ऐसा बात. Wind को भी हम वैसे ही नेम करते हैं. Winds are also named just like people, the way we call people. है ना, someone coming from south we say he's from south, someone coming from north we say he's from north, someone coming from east we say he's from east. है ना, people coming from western world we say they are westerners. ऐसा ही बोलते हैं ना. So wind को भी हम वैसे ही नाम करते हैं. Is that okay? So in this, let me ask you now, please see carefully and then give me an answer after thinking. ऐसा जल्दी में नहीं देना है. If I ask you that the winds which are between 0 and 30 degree in both the hemisphere, 0 and 30 degree, is there a common direction from which they are coming? Common direction. एक तो uncommon direction है, ठीक है, one is coming from north, the other is coming from south. But is there a common direction? What is that? Huh? From which they are coming? The answer can be only a one-word answer. It cannot be a three-word or two-word answer. The direction from which they are coming. What is the direction from which they are coming? Huh? Everyone agrees? What did you say? Sorry? Subtropical. Okay. But if I ask you in terms of directions east, west, north, south, let us say I give you these four options. Okay. Then what will you say? What is the common direction from which they are coming? Huh? Agree? East or west? Pakka? Very good. So what is the answer? And hence what should we call these winds? Easterlies. Simple. Okay. So why are the winds in the 0 and 30 degree called as easterlies? Because irrespective of the hemisphere, they are coming from east. तो इसीलिए इन दोनों को हम क्या बोलते हैं? ईस्टर्ली विंड. So should we go on writing also? साथ साथ लिखते भी जाएं थोड़ा. ठीक है. So we call them as easterly. This is called as easterly, and this other one is also called as easterly. All right. And in which region is it? This is easterly wind is in tropical region, temperate region or polar region? Tropical region, है ना? So we'll call it as tropical easterly. Is that okay? Tropical easterly. ठीक है. तो इसको हम tropical easterly ऐसा we can call. And if I ask you what is the uncommon direction for both the winds? So in the northern hemisphere it is north, है ना? So another way of calling the names, ये tropical को हम बाद में भी लगा लेंगे, right? So I know you can't rub it, right? Let us put that other word ऐसा करके. What is it? In the northern hemisphere, northeasterly, and in the southern hemisphere, southeasterly, because that's the direction from which they are coming. बोल सकते हैं? एनी डाउट? एनी डाउट? क्लियर? वेरी गुड. सो नॉर्थ ईस्टर्ली एंड साउथ ईस्टर्ली इन द टू दिस थिंग. ठीक है. नाउ कमिंग टू सब पोलर रीजन. सब पोलर दैट 60 and 30 डिग्री रीजन. ठीक है. सो 30 and 60 डिग्री, द विंड between 30 and 60 degree, can you say there is a common direction in that blue color wala wind? What is the common direction? West. So we can call these winds as westerlies. ठीक है. So this one becomes westerly, and when you go to the polar region, 60 and 90, what is the common direction again? East. So उसको फिर से बोलेंगे easterly. ठीक है. That pole one, 90 and 60 degree is again coming from east. So again it will be called as easterly. Now in both the hemisphere you have two easterlies. दिख रहे? एक पोल का ईस्टर्ली है और एक ट्रॉपिक का ईस्टर्ली है. So how will you differentiate between them? One of them you call as polar easterly, the other you call as tropical easterly. खत्म बात. ठीक है. Actually you can call this pole one also as north easterly. वो नॉर्थ भी है, and this one is south, which will make the name more common. वो दोनों का नेम exactly same हो गया if you see. So now the polar one you will call it as polar northeasterly, and the tropical one you will call as tropical northeasterly. ठीक है. And same ways in the southern hemisphere, tropical southeasterly and polar southeasterly. Clear? And westerly, what is the other direction, the non-common direction in the northern hemisphere? Southwesterly or northwesterly? From what direction is it coming? The northern hemisphere westerly is coming from north या south? How many of you think north? हाथ खड़ा करो बिना घबराए. I can hear. सब ऐसा मत बोलना सर आपका कान बज रहा होगा. हमने नहीं बोला. हाँ, नॉर्थ बोला था ना किसी ने? हाँ, अरे आपको तो मैं देख ही नहीं रहा हूं यार. आपकी तरफ तो मैंने देखा भी नहीं है. वो बेचारा पहले ही हाथ खड़ा करके सर कुछ भी हो मैंने नहीं किया सर. आई अश्योर यू सर. उसका दिमाग में नॉर्थ चल रहा होगा. ठीक है. इसीलिए उसको लग रहा होगा कि सर है ना, हाउ कुड यू हियर, मैंने तो मुंह से कुछ बोला ही नहीं. ओके. ठीक है. सो दिस इज कमिंग फ्रॉम साउथ. The northern hemisphere westerly is southwesterly because it is coming from south. ठीक है. Whereas the southern hemisphere westerly is northwesterly. What is the rule that you have to remember in naming winds? सिर्फ एक ही रूल है. The direction from which they are coming. बस. ठीक है. बस. और अगर ये भी भूल गया तो क्या याद रखना है? The way we call people, है ना? The way we call people coming from whichever direction, we call them by that name. That's it. That's how you call the winds also. ठीक है. Is that okay? So good enough. So now you have all the 6 winds on the earth named. Clear? सब ट्रॉपिकल वेस्टर्ली तो बोल सकते हैं, बट वेस्टर्ली तो सब ट्रॉपिकल ही है ना. दूसरा वेस्टर्ली है कौन सा? नहीं. अब आपके घर पे आपका क्या सरनेम है? सरनेम बताओ ना. ऐसा क्या सोच रहे हो? सर पता नहीं क्या ही क्या डालेगा. अच्छा, लेट मी शेयर दिस. वंस आई वेंट टू माय फ्रेंड्स हाउस, राइट. उसका नेम कुछ कोहली था. सो आई सेड आंटी कोहली है. आंटी सेड यहां तो सभी कोहली है. आई फेल्ट सो मच अशेम्ड. ने कही ये क्या हो गया यार. ठीक है. एंड शी स्टार्टेड लाफिंग. वो भी मुझसे मजे ले रहे थे. ठीक है. तो बोले बेटा यहाँ तो सभी कोहली है. आई सेड सॉरी आंटी एंड देन आई कॉल्ड हिज नेम. तो मुझे उसका नाम याद करने में 2-3 सेकंड लगा कि इसका नाम क्या था. ठीक है. ऑलराइट. तो यहाँ तो एक ही वो है ना, इसीलिए उल्टा कंडीशन है यहाँ. तो यहाँ पे इज दैट ओके. तो सब ट्रॉपिकल बोलने से काम नहीं चलेगा, बिकॉज बोथ ऑफ देम आर सब ट्रॉपिकल. ओके, सो गुड इनफ, क्लियर. ठीक है. So when you add that word northwesterly or southwesterly, you are clarifying which hemisphere you are talking of. And that north and south is not for hemisphere, it is the direction from which that westerly is coming. Is that okay? Clear? So all these winds are clear? हाँ जी बोलिए. Yes. Why? Because उसका डायरेक्शन साउथ से आ रहा है. ठीक है, उसको हम नॉर्थ वेस्टर्ली, यही चीज मैं समझाना चाह रहा हूं. जस्ट बिकॉज इट इज इन द नॉर्दर्न हेमिस्फीयर यू वोंट कॉल इट एज नॉर्थ वेस्टर्ली. ठीक है, गुड इनफ. सो शुड वी गो बियॉन्ड दिस? ऑलराइट, वेरी क्लियर. सो इफ वी सी दिस डायग्राम, so can you figure out the pressure belts and the wind directions? है ना. And some of the names, wind का name are given. For example, they have written westerlies, but they have not clarified further. But now you have the clear-cut names of all the 6 winds. ठीक है, very good. So basically, if I take you back to this diagram, also this one, in any given hemisphere, you can tell me the name of the cell, and you can also give me the pressure belts, and you can give me the surface winds. इतना तो दे सकते हैं ना आप लोग? इतना clear है आप सबको? पक्का? So do you understand this pressure and wind relation on the earth? Huh? What is the pressure and wind relation? On the earth's surface, we have different high pressures and low pressures created mechanically and thermally. Wind always blows from high pressure to low pressure, and because of these pressure belts, different atmospheric cells are created. 3 cells in each hemisphere. You know the names. ठीक है. In those cells, there are upper atmospheric winds and surface winds. And those surface winds are on the Earth's surface, 6 types of surface winds, 3 different belts, right? Or 3 different regions. ठीक है. 0 to 30 degree. क्या बोलेंगे? 0 to 30 degree. What will you call the wind 0 to 30 degree or 0 and 30 degrees? Not 2, 0 and 30 degree. Tropical ईस्टर्ली. नॉर्थ साउथ नहीं बोलेंगे यहाँ, डिपेंड्स करता है कौन सा हेमिस्फीयर मैं पूछ रहा हूँ. ठीक है. सो व्हाट डू वी कॉल इट? ट्रॉपिकल ईस्टर्ली. एंड 30 and 60 and 60 and 90, दैट्स इट, पोलर ईस्टर्ली. ठीक है. तो यही आपका विंड रिलेशन है. इज दैट ओके? सो ब्रॉडली दिस मच वी हैव अंडरस्टूड. यस, नो मेजर डाउट्स? Online people also, I don't see any major doubt. I believe nothing, sir. Perfect. So now what we do is, because we started pressure and wind together, and this much of the wind and pressure relation you have understood, before we move on to other types of winds, we have to first complete pressure. Okay. So pressure topic mein there are few things which are left. So first let us complete the pressure topic. Once the pressure topic, which was the third factor affecting the weather and climate, or third element of weather and climate, है ना. थर्ड था, सेकंड था? सेकंड. फर्स्ट वाज टेम्परेचर, सो वी हैव डन टेम्परेचर, देन वी केम टू प्रेशर एंड विंड. सो लेट अस फर्स्ट कंप्लीट प्रेशर, देन वील कम बैक टू विंड्स. ठीक है. अभी तक वी वर मिक्सिंग एंड अंडरस्टैंडिंग, बट देयर इज वन रिमेनिंग पार्ट ऑफ द प्रेशर व्हिच वी नीड टू कंप्लीट बिफोर वी कम टू विंड्स अगेन. ठीक है. सो व्हाट डू यू राइट बिलो दिस? यू कैन राइट हेंस अबव वी हैव अंडरस्टूड. हेंस अबव वी हैव अंडरस्टूड Hence above we have understood the broad relation between pressure and wind. Broad relation between pressure and wind and different types of pressure belts and wind regions. Different types of pressure belts and major surface winds. You write this way: different types of pressure belts and major surface winds. along with 3 major atmospheric circulations. 3 major atmospheric circulation in each hemisphere. Okay, in each 3 major atmospheric circulations in each hemisphere. ठीक है, right? Full stop. Then write, hence before coming to winds, hence before coming back to winds, before coming back to winds, we'll complete the remaining parts of pressure. We'll complete remaining parts of pressure. Now, what is remaining part of pressure? There are 2 remaining parts of pressure that we are still to do. We have done most of it. There are 2 things left. One, remaining parts of pressure, namely pressure belt shifting, and its effects. And second, breaking of pressure belts and effects. Breaking of pressure belts and effects. ठीक है? So pressure belts shifting is the next subheading that you put. Pressure belt shifting. So now if you see this diagram, you can see the pressure belts, all of you. ब्रेक चाहिए तो मतलब इज इट ब्रेक टाइम? नहीं, 1 मिनट का कुछ सेट वेट करने के लिए चाहिए, सब कुछ ठीक है, तो शुड बी, आर यू रेडी? ठीक है, बिकॉज आंसर्स हैव टू कम फ्रॉम यू, देयरफॉर आई नीड एवरीवन टू बी अटेंटिव. ऐसा नहीं कि ठीक है 1-2 मिनट को बोलने दो, बाद में लिख लेंगे, लिखने को होगा ही नहीं कुछ ज्यादा. सो देयरफॉर everyone please be here and look at the board or the diagram on the board in your copy. You can see, so we have this pressure belt thing, and how many pressure belts have we seen till now? 7 pressure belts, and out of these 7, how many are thermally created? How many are thermally created on the surface of the earth? Out of 7. आप लोग ध्यान से सुनते नहीं हो यार फिर मेरा बात. Out of 7, how many are thermally created? 2, 3, 4. तीनों आंसर सुन चुका हूं मैं यहाँ पे. तो या तो आपका मैथ्स बहुत ही कमजोर है ना, 1, 2, 3 काउंट करना सिखाना शुरू करूं. If I'm saying 7, you should know that I'm already adding equator वाला. ठीक है, and if I'm giving 7, then I'm not asking out of 4. I'm not asking for one hemisphere. ध्यान से सुनो मैं क्या पूछ रहा हूं. Out of the 7, how many are thermally created? कौन सा 2 है, नाम बताइए. मैंने क्या पूछा क्या? बेल्ट किसको बोलते हैं? कॉपी में चेक करो. What have I asked? प्रेशर बेल्ट और विंड बेल्ट और सर्कुलेशन, क्या पूछ रहा हूं? ध्यान से सुनिए, नहीं पता तो हाथ खड़ा करके पूछ लीजिए, सर ये वाला बेल्ट का मतलब क्या होता है. ठीक है, राइट. दीज आर द फाइनर थिंग्स. मैं बार बार आप लोग को यही चीजें रियलाइज कराना चाह रहा हूं कि यही वो पॉइंट्स हैं जहां आप मिस्टेक करते हो. और एग्जाम में आउट होते रहते हो। ध्यान से सुनो, ज्योग्राफी या किसी भी सब्जेक्ट में यू हैव टू जस्ट हैव एवरी वर्ड इन योर हेड प्रॉपरली। 2-4 वर्ड भी इधर उधर मिस करोगे तो कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट हो जाएगा। सो नाउ शुड आई आस्क द क्वेश्चन अगेन, हाउ मेनी pressure belts we have as thermal pressure belts out of 7? 3. Which are the 3? Start from north and give me the names. North polar high pressure belt या low pressure belt? High pressure belt. Second, equatorial low pressure belt. Third, south polar high pressure belt. ठीक है, अभी ठीक है? प्रेशर बेल्ट समझ में आया किसको बोलते हैं? द रीजन वेयर यू फाइंड द प्रेशर। विंड का बात नहीं कर रहे, ठीक है? पक्का? कोई डाउट है तो बोलो। ओके, वेरी गुड। आउट ऑफ दीज विच इज क्रिएटेड डायरेक्टली ड्यू टू द सन? इक्वेटोरियल। वाई? पोलर वाला इज नॉट क्रिएटेड डायरेक्टली ड्यू टू द सन? नो, इट इज नॉट, बिकॉज सन, if there was no sun we would have still got it, है ना? जैसा दूसरा प्लैनेट्स पे जाओ बहुत दूर है तो वहां पे तो सन का इफेक्ट नहीं है, सो दोस रीजन्स आर कोल्ड, ठीक है? सो विच ऑफ देम इज डायरेक्टली क्रिएटेड ड्यू टू द सन? इक्वेटोरियल। हाउ डज द सन क्रिएट इट? बाय डायरेक्टली हीटिंग दैट रीजन, ठीक है? नाउ डज द सन रिमेन कांस्टेंट विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द अर्थ राउंड द ईयर? Location of the sun, is it constant round the year with respect to the earth? No sir. If no, then how does it move? How does it move? Between what to what? Between Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn. It keeps moving round the year, it keeps moving like this. I hope everyone is clear hai? So if the sun will move, the place which is heated directly due to the sun, that will also, if that place will move, the air heated will also move, right? Air heated means the region where the air is heated, that will also move, because the sun is not exactly at the same place. So a different region's air will be heated. If a different region's air will be heated, that region air will expand and whatever. So the low pressure also, hence, should the low pressure, equatorial low pressure, should it remain constant even if the sun is moving, or should that also move? करना चाहिए नहीं करना चाहिए? What do you think? आपने कभी गैस के ऊपर खाना बनाया? कब? Many times you have a big container. तो आप क्या करते हैं? उसको थोड़ा इधर उधर करते हैं ताकि उसका फ्लेम चेंज हो, है ना? And wherever the flame is, that corner starts heating up. ऐसा तो नहीं कि irrespective of you shifting the whole big container, still in the center only the food is heated. किया है कभी ऐसा? है ना? मेनी टाइम्स इन द बिग कंटेनर, है ना? जैसे चाय बना रहे हैं तो कभी इस कॉर्नर पे गर्म करते हैं, कभी उस कॉर्नर पे, है ना? ताकि एवरीथिंग गेट्स प्रॉपरली राइट. सो सेम थिंग इज हैपनिंग हियर आल्सो. एज द सन मूव्स, द रीजन वेयर द लो प्रेशर इज क्रिएटेड, दैट आल्सो मूव्स. इज दैट ओके? नाउ प्लीज सी. So when the sun, now I'll give you months and then you have to tell. In the month of March, where should the sun be? Month of March, 21st March. Okay, let me say like this: March equinox, over equator. So the low pressure should also be over equator. Now around June solstice, where is the sun? Tropic of Cancer. So the pressure belt, low pressure belt, should also move towards Tropic of Cancer. Yes or no? So this low pressure will also shift. So will it remain between 10 to 10 degrees? No, it might become something like, now some of you might think this might shift as much as the sun, but the answer is no, it does not shift as much as the sun, it just follows it. So if the sun goes to 23, it will shift by 5 to 10 degrees, that's it. Sun might shift by 23 degrees, but this will not shift by 23 degrees, it will shift by 5 to 10 degrees. This is the only thing you have to remember, that the pressure belts do not shift generally more than 5 to 10 degrees. Generally more than 5 to 10 degrees. Pressure belt will shift only that much. Okay? So when the sun in the June solstice is at 23, pressure belt might shift up to what? अब अगर मैं आपसे मान लो 10 degrees. So what angle? Between which to which angle should I find? Between 0 degree to 20 degree north. Somewhere there. Is that okay? Now if the equatorial low pressure belt will shift, Which atmospheric cell is formed due to that? Which hemisphere? One hemisphere or both hemisphere? Both hemisphere. So if the pressure belt is shifting, will the Hadley cell shift? If the pressure belt is shifting, will the Hadley cell shift? Hadley cell is formed due to pressure belt. So if the pressure belt is shifting, should the Hadley cell shift? Logically, yes or no? It should. So the Hadley cell will also shift. Which direction? From March to June. Sun is shifting northward. Pressure belt is shifting. Equatorial low pressure belt is shifting northward. Hence the Hadley cell will shift northward. And on the polar edges of Hadley cell, polar edges समझते हो? One is equatorial edge, the other one is polar edges. So the one which are toward the pole. Which other cells are there and which pressure belts are there? Which pressure belt? Subtropical high pressure belt. And which cell? Ferrel cell. So if the Hadley cell will shift, the pressure belt will also shift. कौन सा pressure belt? Subtropical pressure belt on both the sides, they will also shift. And hence the Ferrel cell will also shift. क्योंकि वो सब तो साथ ही बन रहे हैं. ठीक है ना? They are like chain, parts of a chain. So if you pull the chain in one direction, all the links of the chain will shift. है ना? मान लो 6 links का chain है. So if you push one of the links, the whole chain shifts, na? Is this clear? So the polar cell will also shift, and on the poleward side of the polar cell, which cell is there? Polar cell नहीं, on the poleward side of Ferrel cell. अभी तक आपने कौन कौन सा cell shift किया? Hadley and Ferrel, and on the poleward side of the Ferrel cell, polar cell is there and pressure belt is there, subpolar low pressure belt. So they will also shift. So now simply said, when the sun shifts northward, the pressure belt या belts क्या बोलूं? S है ना? Pressure belts will also shift one hemisphere or both the hemisphere? सिर्फ एक हेमिस्फीयर का प्रेशर बेल्ट या दोनों का? दोनों का ना. नॉर्थ वाला भी करेगा एंड साउथ वाला भी उसको फॉलो करेगा. सो इन बोथ द हेमिस्फीयर ऑल द प्रेशर बेल्ट्स विल शिफ्ट northward, and hence all the cells, atmospheric cells will also shift northward. आ रहे समझ में? है ना? Is this clear? So very simply said, when the sun shifts northward, the pressure belts also shift, and when the sun shifts southward, the pressure belts also shift southward. Is that okay? Pakka? Very good. So now I'll give you months and you have to tell me which direction will everything shift. ठीक है? Should I ask? Okay. March to June, everything shifts northward. June to September, September to December, December to March. So how many months northward? How many months? देखो हिंदी में मुर्गा बनाना बोलते हैं ना, और इंग्लिश में स्केप गोट होता है, और गोट और मुर्गा दोनों ही खाने में है. तो आप देखो आपको क्या बनना है. ठीक है? ऑलराइट. सो हाउ मेनी मंथ्स? 6 months northward and 6 months. Which 6 months northward? Which 6 months? सारे रॉन्ग हो, क्योंकि अभी आंसर दिया था बट ध्यान से सुना नहीं. Which 6 month does the sun shift northward? तो अभी मार्च क्या बोल रहे थे? है ना? Which 6 month? The sun shifts northward December to June, and the sun shifts southward June to, because in December it is at Tropic of Capricorn. तो Capricorn से जैसे ही इक्वेटर की तरफ आ रहा है, इट इज मूविंग नॉर्थवर्ड ना. Yes or no? Yes or no? When you move from Tropic of Capricorn in Australia to Singapore on equator, you are moving northward or southward? Australia to Singapore. Atlas है? नहीं है. Tropic of Capricorn to equator, northward. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू स्टिल हैव अ डाउट? आपका कुछों का चेहरा पे तो दिखाई दे रहा है. यहां से इफ आई एम मूविंग फ्रॉम दिस टू दिस, प्लीज सी, इफ आई एम मूविंग फ्रॉम दिस टू दिस, आई एम मूविंग Tropic of Capricorn. When is the sun here? December. So December to March, and March to June, and June to September. ये कौन सा मूवमेंट है यहां से यहां? एंड September to December. अभी क्लियर है? Is that okay? So 6 months the sun and the pressure belts move northward, and the next 6 months the sun and the pressure belt move southward. Is this clear? Pakka? So please see this here. See this here. Which month is this? March. And March, and so what is this position showing you? Equinox. And what is that? Which solstice? June solstice. इतने दिन से summer solstice. ये कौन सा solstice है? June solstice. And this one? Summer बोल सकते हो, एग्जाम तक बोलो, लेकिन लॉजिक राइट होना चाहिए. ठीक है, दिस इज जून solstice. ठीक है, एंड दिस वन December solstice. So from here, equinox to summer solstice or your June solstice, where will the sun go? North. Can you see all the pressure belt shifting northward? दिख रहा है ना? And if you see from December, start from December to March. So December it is here, March it has moved northward, and from March to June also it has moved further northward, and from June to September, and from September to December southward. ठीक है? So this diagram shows you the shifting of the pressure belt. Is this clear? सबको clear है? पक्का? Any major doubt? No? Right? Okay, very good. Now, before I take you further, let me ask you in this diagram. Any hemisphere or any pressure belt that we are talking of, can we say that almost every pressure belt can be divided into two equal halves? Something like this for the winds? Yes or no? सारा pressure belt हम ऐसा equal divide कर सकते हैं ना? So one side of the pressure belt will be, so one is this part between this to this, and the other is this one. Same pressure belt acting both the sides, poleward and, yes or no? है ना? Because winds तो ऐसा ही move कर रहा है, right? So both of them you can divide like this. So this pressure belt, northern part and southern part. This pressure belt also northern part and southern part. Northern part is working along with the northern subtropic. Southern part is acting with southern subtropic. Same way is this subtropical belt. Northern part is acting with equator and southern part is acting with subpolar. ठीक है? So every pressure belt you can broadly divide like this. ठीक है? Now if I do the same thing here, यहाँ पे, ठीक है? So just imagine something like this. Suppose I take a location in the March position somewhere here. यहाँ पे. This is the latitude. तो ये तो latitude का position है. Place cannot shift. Pressure belt will shift. Wind will shift. Place भी shift होता है. कभी देखा है दिल्ली शिफ्ट हो गया सन का साथ साथ? प्लेस तो उधर ही रहेगा. Everyone agrees. So place will be at the same latitude. Only the pressure belt and the winds will shift. ठीक है? So just imagine and please answer now. At this latitude, this one, this position, that yellow dot, ठीक है? As you see during the month of, or wait, let me ask you the same thing in another way. Okay, कोई बात नहीं, यहाँ पे भी कर सकते हैं. So if I ask you which wind will be blowing in this region in the month of March, that yellow dot, which wind will it experience? Look at the pressure belts and you can give me the answer. यहीं पे देखो, वहां pressure belt सामने ही है. What pressure belt is this? ये कौन सा है? Somewhere है. This is trade wind. So this has to be subtropical. So the wind which is between subtropic and equator, है ना? Because you are in that lower half of the subtropic belt. So which wind should that be? Trade wind. Trade wind. Sorry, easterly wind. Sorry, not trade. Trade word मैंने आपको बताया नहीं है. Easterly wind. Can we say? So this region will be experiencing easterly wind right now. ठीक है? In the month of December, the same location. यहाँ पे. Which wind will it now experience? The location remains same. है ना? Which wind is it now experiencing? Westerly. Why? Because of shifting of the pressure belt. Is this clear? Yes or no? To everyone? Any major doubt? Pakka? Alright. So this is the effect of shifting of pressure belts. What? If the shifting of pressure belt is not taken into consideration, suppose that we do not talk of shifting of pressure belt, which is a real phenomena, and I ask you, which wind will blow at 31 degree latitude north or 31 degree latitude, forget north and south, which wind will you tell me? Westerly. And 31 degree you will say, sir, westerly, because 30 to 60 is westerly, perfectly fine. And if I ask you which wind will blow at 29 degree? Easterly. Okay. That is when the pressure belt is not shifting. But in reality, pressure belt is shifting. So now if I ask you, consider the effect of pressure belt shifting also, and then tell me which wind will blow at 31 degree latitude. What will you say? You will say, sir, I need more data. Data insufficient. है ना? So then you will ask me, sir, please tell me the month or the hemisphere and the month. Then I will try to figure out. Okay, and then I'll give the answer. Do we understand this? So this is the real effect of shifting of the pressure belt. That without pressure belt shifting, we can broadly give an answer. But that answer might not always be right, because in reality, pressure belt is also shifting. But if I ask you at 20 degree latitude, which wind will blow? 20 degree. Easterly, round the year. Why? Because the pressure belt does not shift that much. है ना? Is that okay? So 20 degree पे तो आप साफ बता सकते हो. If I ask you 45 degree, westerly. But if I ask you 32 degree, then you will ask me. So which region is affected more by shifting of pressure belt? The regions which are near the pressure belts. The region near the pressure belt are affected by shifting of pressure belt. The regions which are away from the pressure belts are not so much affected by shifting of pressure belt. Is this okay? So do we understand the pressure belt and the shifting and its effect? Pakka? So should we write this? लिख लें? So please do. Right? And आप में से कितने के पास GC Leong नहीं है? चलो GC Leong नहीं भी है तो diagrams are already shared with you. So I won't give you time to maybe draw the diagram. ये अगर आपने बना लिया है तो अच्छा है. Okay, or you have to refer to the GC Leong diagram or the diagram shared. ठीक है, you can draw a very simple diagram shifting and write down under the shifting of the pressure belt thing. Write down that we know that the sun shifts with respect to the earth. We know that the sun shifts with respect to the earth around the year between Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn. Around the year between Tropic of Cancer to Tropic of Capricorn. Full stop. Because of this shifting, the pressure belts, comma, the atmospheric circulation cells within bracket, कौन सा cell? Hadley, Farrell and Polar. ठीक है? Atmospheric circulation cells, and hence the surface winds and hence the surface winds. Which surface winds? Tropical easterlies, westerlies and polar easterlies. और सब चाहो तो नाम लिखते रहो so that you are clear. ठीक है? And the surface winds within bracket, tropical easterlies, westerlies and polar easterlies. Bracket close. Also shift in the direction of the shifting of sun. Also shift in the direction of the shifting of sun. But only by 5 to 10 degrees generally. But only by 5 to 10 degrees generally. So the shifting of these is only by 5 to 10 degrees generally. Okay. Hence, due to the shifting of the sun, the regions, the latitudinal regions very close to the pressure belts, can experience change in direction of surface winds. Through the year. Change in direction of surface winds through the year. Whereas places away from these pressure belts, experience same winds. Places away from these pressure belts experience same surface winds. Around the year. Okay. For example, 45 degrees और 15 degrees latitude. लिखते जाओ, एक दो वर्ड मिस हुआ बाद में कैच कर लेना. For example, 45 degrees or 15 degree latitude will round the year experience 45 degree and 15 degree latitude will round the year experience westerlies and tropical easterlies. Respectively. Full stop. But 31 degree latitude will experience tropical easterlies during the region's summer, regions summer, and westerlies during the region's winter. Due to shifting of the pressure belt. Okay. So this is the effect of pressure belt shifting. Clear? All right, everyone is clear? Okay. So good enough. So with this we understand the pressure belt shifting. The next thing is, next subheading is breaking of pressure belts. And formation of pressure cells. Breaking of pressure belts and formation of pressure cells. Okay, good. So what I'll do is अभी 35 हो रहा है. Let me give you a quick break because this topic might take more than 15 minutes or 20 minutes. तो तब तक और थक जाओगे. तो अभी एक ब्रेक ले लो, थोड़ा फ्रेश हो जाओ. Come back after the break and then we'll pick up. Is this much clear to most of you? ठीक है. आपका डाउट है कुछ? डाउट है? क्लास के बाद पूछोगे, मुझे भी ब्रेक दे दो. बोल डालो फिर. अभी सबका नाम लिखवाते हैं. सर एनीथिंग? Okay, so now let us start with the next part of the topic, that was shifting of the pressure belt done. So now we come to the breaking of the pressure belt and formation of pressure cells, है ना? Very good. So let's come back to this diagram. ठीक है? And in this diagram, let me draw a continent. ऐसा पूरा ऊपर से नीचे तक मॉडल कॉन्टिनेंट है, मतलब ऐसा होता नहीं है, बट देन आई एम ट्राइंग टू शो इन वन डायग्राम ओनली कॉन्टिनेंट एंड ओशन बोथ. ओके, सो आई होप एवरीवन इज क्लियर दैट दिस पार्ट इज द कॉन्टिनेंट एंड दीज टू साइड्स आर द ओशन. वो आपका ईस्टर्न साइड ऑफ द कॉन्टिनेंट है, दिस इज द वेस्टर्न साइड ऑफ द कॉन्टिनेंट. क्लियर? ओके, एंड लेट मी टेक अ मंथ, फॉर एग्जाम्पल जून. ठीक है? सो इफ आई टेक द मंथ ऑफ जून, which is what season in the northern hemisphere and what season in the southern hemisphere? Winter. So let us first talk of the summer season. So in the summer season, irrespective of that hemisphere doesn't matter, we'll try to see what happens in the summer season, what phenomena do we find broadly. So in the summer season, in the equatorial region, what should be the temperature? ये सारा answers again आप ही लोग को देना है. So what should be the temperature? High pressure, and because of high pressure, what is the temperature? High temperature, and because of that, what is the pressure? Low pressure. And equatorial region, thermally, what is the pressure? Thermally कौन सा pressure होता है वहाँ पे? Low pressure, and the temperature is also creating low pressure. ठीक है? So low pressure normally also, and low pressure by temperature also. So दोनों ही low है. So this equatorial region will remain low pressure. Right, this whole equatorial region will remain low pressure. In the polar region during winter, what temperature should we expect? In the polar region during winters, and during winters, low temperature, and during summers also, what temperature should we expect? Should we expect too high temperature in the polar region? कभी देखा है पोल के ऊपर कोई टी शर्ट पहन के घूम रहा हो? हाँ, देखा है? देखा है किसी इमेज के अंदर, वीडियो में, कहीं पे भी पोल के ऊपर आराम से टी शर्ट पहन के, निक्कर में, बरमूडास पहन के घूम रहे हैं? क्या देखा है आपने? देखा क्या है पोल पे? मतलब आप तो नहीं गए हो, बट व्हाट हैव यू सीन? भालू? भालू बोला? हाँ, क्या देखा है पोल के ऊपर? पेंगुइन? अच्छा, मैं इंसान का बात कर रहा हूं. इंसान को क्या पहन के देखा? भालू और पेंगुइन वहां पे भी कुछ नहीं पहनते. ठीक है, लेकिन इंसान को क्या पहन के देखा है? वार्म क्लोथ्स, जैकेट, कैप, है ना? नॉर्मली ऑल द वीडियोज ऑफ द पोल दैट यू हैव एवर सीन आर समर सीजन वीडियोज. You hardly ever see the polar winter season videos because we generally vacate the pole at winters. ठीक है, तो पोल का आपने जितना भी वीडियो आज तक देखा है वो सब कब का है? सन दिखता था उसमें, उन वीडियोस के अंदर सन टाइप लाइट देखा है ना? तो लाइट कब होता है पोल पे? समर. तो सारा वीडियो कब का था? समर का. आप में से हार्डली किसी ने पोल का विंटर वीडियो देखा है. डू यू गेट इट? So जो भी videos आपने देखा है, the videos that you have seen, people are generally wearing warm clothes. That means what is the temperature at the pole even in summer? Low temperature. This is what I want you to understand. ठीक है, that at the pole even in the summers the temperature is low, hence the pressure will be high. And what is the thermal pressure at the pole? High pressure. So pole के ऊपर high and equator के ऊपर low. That's perfectly fine. ठीक है, ये दोनों का प्रेशर ऐसा रहता है. Now coming to subpolar region. Subpolar region which is below the 66.5 within the towards the tropic side. So in that region, mid latitude, what should be the temperature during summer? Relatively warm. So that region might have relatively warm temperature. ठीक है, मतलब hot नहीं होगा but warm होगा. ठीक है. Siberian region also the snow melts in the summer. Right, in the hot summers the snow tends to melt there, and once the winter start again it starts to snow. So that subpolar region in the summer has warm temperature, and warm temperature will give you what pressure? Low pressure. And what is the mechanical pressure of the subpole? बताओ, mechanical pressure of subpole low pressure. So normally low pressure and mechanically low pressure. So दोनों तरफ से low pressure ही है. So this region, this whole region will remain low pressure. Okay, so subpolar low as it is, polar high as it is, equatorial low as it is. Now come to subtropical region. Subtropical region, what is the mechanical pressure? High pressure. What is the temperature in the summer? And where is the high temperature highest? On the continent or in the ocean? On the continent. So on the continent, what is the temperature in the subtropic? Very high, not just high. Very high. Very high temperature means thermally what pressure? Very low. So thermally that will create a very, and mechanically that region has a, so they might cancel each other, है ना? And depending on which phenomena is strong, you will get the outcome. So in the continental interior where the temperature is very high, the pressure is very low and mechanical pressure is high. So that very low might cancel the high, and in place of the high you might get a, क्या मिलेगा यहां पे? This region, the high might be broken. ठीक है, and in this region you might get a subtropical what pressure? Low pressure. आ गया समझ में? This region you might get a subtropical low pressure, and in the over the ocean you might still have the ocean temperature. Does it change too much? So over the ocean you still might have subtropical high pressure, subtropical high pressure. But is the belt intact or is it broken? Belt का क्या हुआ? There was a belt. What happened to the belt? Broken. So this is the breaking of the pressure belt. And where does it break? Over the continent. Which season? Summer. In the summer, where does it break? Subtropic. So in the summer, over continent, the pressure belt breaks over subtropic. And what does it form locally? Subtropical low pressure. और ये regional formation को हम cell बोलते हैं. ठीक है? So this formation we also call as a cell. One was the vertical cell, the air cell. This is the pressure cell, the surface pressure cell. ठीक है, जैसे आपने पढ़ा होगा ना बहुत सारा रीजन्स में, योर यूनिवर्सिटी हैड अ एक्सटेंशन सेल देयर, टेररिस्ट हैव अ स्लीपिंग सेल समवेयर. तो सेल का मतलब क्या है? समथिंग आइसोलेटेड. ठीक है, सो दिस बिकम्स अ सेल. ओके, सो वी कॉल इट एज सबट्रॉपिकल लो प्रेशर सेल. एंड हेंस ये जो बेल्ट था इसका भी नाम क्या हो जाएगा ओवर द ओशन, बिकॉज दिस इज ऑल्सो आइसोलेटेड. सो दिस ऑल्सो बिकम्स अ सबट्रॉपिकल हाई प्रेशर सेल. तो बेल्ट हैज ब्रोकन इनटू सेल्स. ठीक है, ओवर द ओशन हाई प्रेशर सेल and over the continent low pressure cell. So do you understand what happens in the summer season? Because of heating of the sun. So this is mainly the heating of the sun effect. Is this okay? Now if this is understood, please tell me what is the pressure between subtropical and subpolar region over the continent. Over the continent, what is subpolar pressure? बोर्ड पे दिख रहा है, लो प्रेशर. एंड व्हाट इज द सबट्रॉपिकल प्रेशर? लो प्रेशर. दोनों जगह लो प्रेशर. So which wind was blowing there earlier? आज ही पढ़ा है. Which wind was blowing between 30 and 60? So if both the side you have low pressure, what will happen to the pressure gradient? Pressure gradient. If both the region the pressure is low, then the pressure gradient will become strong or weak. If the pressure gradient is weak, which force will be weak? The driving force, and hence which wind will be weak? Westerly. So during summer over the continent, the westerly will become weak. Is this clear? Right? So this is the outcome of formation of pressure cells and breaking of pressure belt. So effect bhi samajh mein. First you understood what is happening, and second you also understood what is the effect of this. Is this clear? तो समर सीजन समझ में आ गया. ठीक है. नाउ आई विल डिक्टेट इट इन द एंड. नाउ लेट्स कम टू द विंटर साइड. अब विंटर में क्या होगा? लेट अस से you can talk of northern hemisphere January, or you can talk of southern hemisphere June. Winter hai. So in the winter season, now tell me, equator will remain hot, or equator also becomes cold in the winter? So equator, which pressure belt will continue? Equatorial low pressure belt. At the pole, high pressure belt. Now this time subtropical region will become temperature subtropical region. Temperature subtropical region during winter. Delhi during winter, low temperature, so pressure high. So subtropical high pressure belt over continent and ocean will remain as it is. So this time subtropical will remain high as it is. But what will happen in subpolar? What is the mechanical pressure at subpolar? Low. What is the temperature at subpolar in winter? Temperature at subpolar in winter low, and over continent extremely low. So extremely low temperature will create what pressure over continent? High pressure. So this region rather than subpolar low, what should I get? यहाँ पे क्या बन जाएगा? Subpolar low का जगह, especially on the continent, I will get a subpolar high pressure cell बोल सकते हैं इसको. Can we call it as cell? Why? Because the belt is broken, and over the ocean it might not become so cold. So what will I get over the ocean? Subpolar low pressure cell. So in the summer, which pressure belt gets broken? During summer, which pressure belt gets broken? Subtropical. During winter, which pressure belt gets broken? Subpolar. Are you understand? Right? So in two different seasons, different pressure belts are broken. But again, see, in this season, what is the subtropical pressure over the continent? Subtropical pressure over continent. And subpolar pressure over continent? Subpolar pressure over continent. Diagram में क्या है? High. So both the regions have. So pressure gradient will be, if both the regions have high pressure, pressure gradient between them will be more or less. So which wind will be affected? थप्पड़ दोनों बार वेस्टर्ली को ही पड़ेगा. ठीक है. In both the cases, who will be affected? Westerly only. One time because both the region had low pressure. Next time because both the region have high pressure. If both the region have high pressure, pressure gradient difference of pressure will be less. If pressure gradient is less, wind will be strong or weak? Weak. है ना? That's it. So even in winter, westerly is weak, and summer also westerly is weak. Over and over the ocean, westerly will be over the ocean. So where is the westerly strong? Ocean or continent? Ocean. ठीक है. So the regions which have more continent, westerly will generally be weak round the year, and the region where there is more ocean, westerly will generally be strong. So which hemisphere there is more continent? So westerly will generally be weak in the, and which hemisphere there is more ocean? Southern hemisphere. So there the westerly will be strong. Agree? समझ में आ गया? Right? Okay. Good enough. हाँ जी बोलिए. कहां पे? सब पोलर? अच्छा, मैंने यहां लिखा गलत है ना, वेरी गुड, थैंक यू, आप ही लोग मुझे करेक्ट कर सकते हैं। सब पोलर लो प्रेशर सेल, वेरी गुड, थैंक यू। और कुछ गड़बड़ है तो देख के बता दो। नहीं नहीं नहीं, खुद को कंफ्यूज नहीं करना है, खुद पे विश्वास रखना है, ठीक है? अगर आपको अपना लॉजिक पे विश्वास है तो, आपको बताया था ना मेमोरी और लॉजिक के बीच में कितना डिफरेंस होता है। मेमोरी इज आर वीक पॉइंट, लॉजिक इज आर, हम सब अपना मेमोरी को हमेशा ब्लेम करते रहते हैं, बट अपना लॉजिक को कोई ब्लेम नहीं करता, क्योंकि हम इनहेरेंटली, हमारा विश्वास इज ऑन, वी थिंक वी आर लॉजिकल पीपल। इफ समबडी सेज योर मेमोरी इज पुअर, यू माइट अग्री, ठीक है, हो सकता है, ऐसे भी आज तक कभी नंबर तो आया नहीं, ठीक है, तो मेमोरी वीक होगा, ठीक है? इज दैट ओके? सो क्लियर, वेरी गुड। सो नाउ शुड वी राइट? सो नाउ इफ आई आस्क यू, what happens to pressure belts during summer and winter? Depending on the region and the pressure belt, they might get broken into cells, and opposite type of cells might be created. And what is the effect of breaking of pressure belts? Which wind gets mostly affected? Westerly. Now you might ask me a question, sir, why doesn't the trade wind also get affected? क्योंकि उसके लिए भी तो प्रेशर बेल्ट चेंज हो रहा है, बट ट्रेड विंड इज नॉट ड्रिवन बाय मैकेनिकल प्रेशर। सॉरी, ट्रेड विंड इज अ रॉन्ग वर्ड, क्योंकि वो बताया नहीं आपको। ट्रॉपिकल ईस्टर्लीज एंड पोलर ईस्टर्लीज, दे माइट ऑल्सो बी अफेक्टेड, ठीक है, बट वाई आर दे नॉट अफेक्टेड? दीज टू विंड्स आर नॉट कॉज ड्यू टू मैकेनिकल रीजंस। वाई वॉज द ईस्टर्ली, ट्रॉपिकल ईस्टर्ली क्रिएटेड? Because at low pressure equator there was a thermal low pressure. And why is the polar easterly created? Because at a pole there is a thermal high pressure, and they are getting strengthened in those respective seasons. ठीक है? So if one of the pressure belt is strong, the whole phenomena will not be adversely affected, and thermal pressure belts are not affected here. कौन सा affect हो रहा है? Mechanical pressure belt. So, and westerly is a wind which is 100% between mechanical pressure belt. On both the side of the westerly there is only mechanical, subpolar and subtropical दोनों ही mechanical है. Is that okay? Clear? So that's why only westerly gets affected. Clear? So should we write all this? लिख लें? Very good. Write down. No major doubt? Very good. Online nothing? No. So you can write that when we compare between continent and ocean, during summer, underline this and write below it. The equatorial region is warm, equatorial region is hot, supporting the thermal low pressure, Next line, polar region is cold, supporting the thermal high pressure, Next line, subpolar region having mechanical low, is further supported by the warmer temperature, Okay, so all these three are okay. Now coming to, but in the subtropical region, Next paragraph. But in the subtropical region, having mechanical high pressure belt, though the oceans are not warmed enough, and hence high pressure remains not warmed enough, and hence high pressure remains as such, but over the continent, the land becomes extremely hot. Creating a thermal low pressure, creating a strong thermal low pressure, which opposes the mechanical high pressure, and sometimes replaces it. Opposes the mechanical high pressure and sometimes replaces it with a not with a काट दीजिए, replaces it, breaking the subtropical high pressure belt over continent, and replacing the region with a local subtropical low pressure cell, over continent, and the broken high pressure part remains as subtropical high pressure cell, over which region? Over subtropical high pressure cell over oceans. ठीक है? Remains as subtropical high pressure cell over the oceans. So this is the effect, right? Or this is what happens. Now what is the outcome of this? Outcome of this. As we see over the continent, we get subpolar low, and also subtropical low. Over the continent we get subpolar low and also subtropical low. Hence pressure gradient declines. And therefore the wind in the region becomes weak. Right? Which wind? Westerly wind. Which is the westerly wind over continent. Okay, right? Westerly wind over continent. Next, B, in winter. I won't give the same dictation there. I'll just say vice versa with just change of the pressure belts. Okay. So B in winters, due to the cold conditions, be in winters due to the cold conditions. The polar high and the subtropical high. Polar high and subtropical high remain as it is. Remain as it is, comma or full stop. Equatorial low remains low due to hot conditions. Equatorial low remains low due to hot conditions, but during this season, the subpolar low pressure belt, is broken. During this season, the subpolar low pressure belt is broken into cells. Subpolar low pressure belt is broken into cells known as subpolar low pressure cells over the oceans. Subpolar low pressure cells over the ocean. And extreme cold creates subpolar high pressure cell. Extreme cold creates subpolar high pressure cell over continent. Subpolar high pressure cell over the continent. Full stop. This condition also This condition also ultimately weakens the westerlies over the continent. Okay. Hence, round the year, westerlies remain weak over continents. Round the year, westerlies remain weak over continents. And strong over continents and strong over the oceans. Weak over continents and strong over the oceans. Relatively strong. They are not very strong, but relatively strong over the oceans. Is that okay? Good, understood. Now you have to write 4 names here of importance that could be asked in your prelims. Okay. The pressure cells of the subtropical high pressure cells of the ocean are known by these 2 names. The subtropical high pressure cells of the ocean, we call them by 2 names. What are the names? In the Atlantic, we call them as, Atlantic में क्या नाम है? Bermuda High और also known as Azores High. वहां पे एक अजोर नाम का आइलैंड भी है. ठीक है, तो उसका क्या नाम है? Bermuda High और Azores High. ठीक है. And in the Pacific, we call it as the Pacific High or the Hawaiian High. वहां हवाई आइलैंड्स है in the center of Pacific. ठीक है, तो दोनों नाम लिख के रखना है आपको. राइट. So what do we write? The subtropical high pressure cells over oceans. Subtropical high pressure cells over ocean are known as subtropical high pressure cell over the oceans are known as the Bermuda High or Azore High, AZORE. Bermuda or Azore High in Atlantic. Bermuda or Azore High in Atlantic and Pacific or Pacific or Hawaiian high. Pacific or Hawaiian high in Pacific. ठीक है, Pacific और Hawaiian high in Pacific. Similarly, the subpolar low pressure cells of ocean, subpolar low pressure cells of ocean are known as subpolar low pressure cell of oceans are known as Icelandic low in Atlantic, Icelandic low in Atlantic, and Aleutian low. Aleutian Islands, you remember? हमने किया था when we were doing the Ring of Fire. Aleutian low in the Pacific. ये वाला जो आइलैंड्स है यहाँ पे ऊपर छोटा सा, these ones, that chain, Aleutian low over Pacific. ALEUTIAN, Aleutian low. Is that okay? Clear? So hopefully we understand these lows, highs, etc. ये सब कुछ clear हो गया? Any major doubt? Doubt है? बोल डालो यार. But that doesn't happen. If, then it can, but it doesn't happen. Practically does not happen. नहीं होता ही नहीं है. अगर हो भी, मतलब योर क्वेश्चन इज सर अगर हुआ तो हो सकता है, बट वैसा होता ही नहीं है, उतना नहीं होता. ठीक है, ऑलराइट. सो आगे बढ़े. और मैंने आपको पहले ही बताया, ज्योग्राफी के अंदर जो नहीं होता है उसको हम डिस्कस नहीं करते हैं, बच जाते हैं. वहां पे हम एक्सपेरिमेंट नहीं कर सकते. ठीक है, तो शुड वी गो बियॉन्ड दिस? ऑलराइट. So with this, what is completed? Hence you can write, hence finally pressure is over. आपका लाइफ से लिख लो पहले. Hence finally pressure is over. लिख भी डाला कहीं ने, है ना? सीरियसली लिख दिया. यस सर, लिख लिया हमने. Finally pressure is over. And अब हवा बहाएंगे. So we come back to the topic of winds. ठीक है, so let us come back to topic of winds. So you can write winds continued. Winds continued. Okay, हाँ जी बताइए. कॉन्टिनेंट का भी प्रेशर बेल्ट का नाम है, जैसे वो साइबेरियन हाई और वैसा करके, बट दे डोंट आस्क यू दोस क्वेश्चन. जैसा भी ये देखो, यहाँ साइबेरियन हाई है. ठीक है, so we have some names, Canadian high, Siberian high, but वो नाम आपको सुन के भी समझ में आ जाएगा. साइबेरियन हाई क्यों हो रहा है? वो सब पोलर रीजन है. कैनेडियन हाई सब पोलर रीजन है. ठीक है, ये जो दूसरा आइलैंड वाला नाम है वो थोड़ा सा कई बार यू डोंट गेट इट. ठीक है, सो इज दिस ओके? गुड इनफ? अरे ब्रेक तो बोला नहीं है, तो गप्पे मारना क्यों चालू हो गया है? ओके, नहीं सर अभी थोड़ा हवा बहने वाला है तो इसीलिए. Okay, good. So let us come back to winds, right? So I hope no major doubt. Online people also it is clear, hopefully to all of you. All right. So winds. So अभी winds पे आ जाते हैं वापस, right? So what did you understand in winds till now? अभी तक क्या समझा वो बताइए. हाँ, which winds have you understood till now? सबसे पहला बड़ा सर्कुलेशन कौन सा सीखा है? Which is the big circulation that you learned in the atmosphere? उससे बड़ा कुछ नहीं सीखा. Geostrophic. I'm asking circulation. Please listen to my words. Did you learn some big circulation in the atmosphere? From the surface to the tropopause and from the tropic to the pole? 3 circulations you learned. कौन सा 3 circulation है? Hadley, Ferrel and polar. And you learned that the air movement horizontally or near horizontally close to the surface or in the upper atmosphere is known as winds. और उसमें कौन कौन सा wind सीखा आपने? वेस्टर्लीज, ईस्टर्लीज एंड पोलर विंड्स, राइट, एंड जियोस्ट्रॉफिक विंड। तो इतना तो आपने समझ लिया अभी तक। एंड द जियोस्ट्रॉफिक विंड्स इज व्हाट इज ड्रॉन ऑन द बोर्ड, दिख रहा होगा, है ना? इज दिस क्लियर? सो जियोस्ट्रॉफिक विंड्स भी दिख रहा है आपको, एंड द सरफेस विंड्स आल्सो समथिंग लाइक दिस। So this is a surface wind thing, and this is what you have learned. ठीक है, now there are some names to them. We'll come to the names later. ठीक है, नाम वाम हम बाद में कर लेंगे, पहले समझ लेते हैं what is made. Okay, name is something that you can also pick at your home. वो तो बुक में दिया हुआ है एनसीईआरटी में, नाम पढ़ने थोड़ी आए हो क्लास में, वो तो आप सब रट के आए हो। ठीक है, लॉजिक समझना है यहाँ पे। ठीक है, एंड द बिगर द लॉजिक यू अंडरस्टैंड, इजियर इट बिकम्स फॉर यू टू रिमेंबर. So now I have a doubt. I have a question, not doubt. I have a question for you. The question is, how many of you have seen rivers? देखते हैं। इसको कहते हैं कॉन्फिडेंस हिलाना। सर पूछ रहे हैं तो कुछ तो घपला होगा। जरूर जो हमने देखा है वो रिवर नहीं होगी। है ना? क्योंकि ऐसे तो कुछ पूछते नहीं है। तो अगर पूछ रहे हैं तो जरूर कुछ ना कुछ तो ये करने वाले हैं। यस, हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव सीन रिवर्स? घबराओ नहीं यार, बाद में होगा। ठीक है सर, सॉरी, रिवर नहीं थी, कुछ और निकल गया। परफेक्टली फाइन, कुछ तो देखा है लाइफ में। क्योंकि अगर हाथ ही नहीं खड़ा करोगे तो मुझे लगेगा ये लोग तो पैदा होते ही आईएएस का तैयारी करना शुरू हो गया रूम बंद करके। ठीक है, सो कैन आई अज्यूम मोस्ट ऑफ यू हैव सीन रिवर्स? Yes, very good. So what do you see in a river? Water. कितना ग्रेट आंसर है सर, रिवर में वाटर दिखा। मतलब आप लोग वैसा बात करो जैसे 20, 150 के बच्चे बात कर रहे होंगे। सर हमने रिवर में वाटर भी देखा। ठीक है, तो ऑब्वियसली यार आप लोग को तो यू आर ब्लेस्ड टू सी वाटर इन द रिवर। ठीक है, वेरी गुड। ओके, सो व्हाट डू यू, हाउ डू यू सी दैट वाटर मूविंग? कैसा मूव करता है? वाटर इज व्हाट स्टेट ऑफ मैटर, विच इज सॉलिड, और इज इट रिजिड, और इज इट फ्लूइड? फ्लूइड, है ना? सो वाटर इज अ फ्लूइड, इज इन अ फ्लूइड स्टेट, है ना? तो फ्लूइड, फ्लूइड का जैसा वो मूव करते रहते हैं। वेरी गुड. So sir, we have seen water moving in the river. So if I ask you, you have to explain a river to somebody who has never seen a river and never heard of a river. Let us say you come across a 3-year-old boy, right, or 4-year-old boy in Rajasthan who has never seen river. वहां नहीं है river, तो उसको अब आपको समझाना है river क्या होता है. How will you make him understand? हो सकता है, pretty possible. Let us say you become a DM, और आप राजस्थान का DM है कहीं पे, और गया और एक बच्चा ने रोक के पूछा, DM साहब रिवर क्या होता है? क्या बोलोगे? भाग जाए से। सपोज एक बड़ा मीटिंग में गिफ्ट, जब आप उसको कुछ अवार्ड दे रहे है ना, टॉपर है क्लास का, वो आकर के, सर सब कुछ समझ में आया, रिवर नहीं समझ में आया, प्लीज बता दो। और वहां पे 500-600 लोग बैठे हुए। क्या बोलोगे? इज्जत का सवाल है ना? डीएम से आपको रिवर समझाना है टू अ चाइल्ड हु हैज नेवर सीन अ रिवर, because this is where your observation of the river will come handy. So you have to tell me, what should you tell? क्या बताओगे? What is a river? Flowing water. वो कहेगा सर वो तो मेरे घर के नाली में ही बहता रहता है। अच्छा अच्छा, वो घर का नाली जो है वही रिवर है। अच्छा, थैंक यू। हाँ, large water body. Okay, very good. So it's a large water body, right? Large water body flowing in a large water body flowing in a channel. अच्छा, और in a particular direction. Very good. So you are giving me the hints. ठीक है? So you have said large water body flowing in a channel in a given direction, और लार्ज वाटर बॉडी को, चलो वाटर को हम रिप्लेस कर दें फ्लूइड से। ठीक है, सो इट्स अ लार्ज फ्लूइड फ्लोइंग इन अ चैनल. चैनल का मतलब क्या हुआ? व्हाट इज अ चैनल? अ पाथ, And is it fixed or can it change? It can change, but broadly it is fixed by what? Boundaries on the two sides. River का side में क्या होता है? So fixed by banks. So it is large body of fluid fixed moving in a fixed path which is fixed by banks or sides, and it is flowing in one direction, particular direction. And is it flowing round the year or only a day of the year? Nearly round the year. Okay, so within fixed path, round the year, large volume. Is it natural or man-made? Natural. So it's natural. अब ये सब जितना भी पॉइंट आपने बोला वो सब याद रखना है. क्या क्या बोला आपने? It is fluid, large volume, natural, between fixed bank and unidirectional round the year. Do we agree? यही है ना रिवर? ये सब तो ये भी है. बोर्ड पे देखो, चेक करो. Is it fluid? Fluid or no? Natural, large body, round the year, unidirectional, between banks. बैंक है इसमें या नहीं है? बैंक नहीं है. What is 0 to 30 degree and 30 to 60 degree and 60 to 90 degree? बैंक तो है. तो ये भी तो एक रिवर है. Yes or no? That's exactly why I asked you, have you seen a river? Is it river? Is it river like? चलो river नहीं है, river like है. Do we agree? तो अगर like है तो characteristic similar होना चाहिए. If it is like, then the characteristic should be similar. आ रहे समझ में? ठीक है. So in some ways we can say that these winds which are moving on the surface of the earth, they are also like rivers. Yes, and they are like large rivers moving over the whole earth surface. So if I ask you what is the river between 0 and 30 degree, क्या बोलोगे? You can say, sir, easterly river है. ठीक है, fixed by which are the two banks? The equatorial low pressure belt and the subtropical high pressure belt. That is the bank. और जैसा आपने बोला चैनल शिफ्ट हो सकता है, इसका भी चैनल शिफ्ट होता है. आपने पढ़ा है प्रेशर बेल्ट शिफ्ट. Yes or no? सब कुछ तो हो रहा है. Okay, very good. So if we understand this, now in the river, which is the biggest movement that you have seen? That's exactly why I asked you, have you seen river? So in the river, which is the biggest movement that you get to see? सबसे बड़ा movement, let us say, and from where will you see the big movement? For that you have to go far from the river. So the higher you go from the river, which is the biggest movement that you see in the river? The water moving one direction, है ना? So that is the biggest movement. So can you see that big movement here? Right? In all these rivers, can you see the big movement? The easterly is moving. Easterly is moving westward, westerly is moving eastward, and the polar easterly is moving again westward. So that is the big movement in this river. Now when you come close to the river, जैसे जैसे आप river के पास आते जाएंगे, which is the other movement that you will see in the river? Big movement. I'm not asking of the small. आप बहुत पास आ गए हो. As you keep coming close to the river, which are the other big movement that you see in the river? One is the whole water going in one direction, which you see from a very long distance. As you come closer, do you see something more? For example, have you seen whirlpools in the river? देखा है? Whirlpool, you understand? Everyone understands? So have you seen whirlpools in the river? ऐसा ऐसा गोल चक्कर, right? And the water will keep going down into that or up into that, depending on how the whirlpool is moving. But have you seen? Is it part of the river or is it away from the river? Part of the river. So there are whirlpools in the river and they are part of the river and they are moving in the direction of the river. So wherever the river is going, the whirlpool is also going. Agreed? Everyone has seen whirlpool, no? And I'm talking of big whirlpool. So the whirlpool might be half the size of the river width. If the river is this wide, the whirlpool might be this big, almost half the river, 1/3 of the river. I'm not talking of very small whirlpools. I'm talking of the ones which you can see from a distance. ठीक है, in which boats get capsized. आपने सुना होगा ना, है ना, कि नदी में भंवर आया और उसमें नाव डूब गई और बहुत सारे लोग, lost life and all that. Have you heard? So do you understand that whirlpool in the river? ठीक है, do we have such whirlpools in this? So should we have such whirlpools in these rivers also? Because ultimately they are fluid. तो दोनों में fluid dynamics लगना चाहिए, फिजिक्स वाला, है ना? आपका स्कूल में एक चैप्टर था ना, मोशन ऑफ फ्लूइड्स, है ना, पढ़ा होगा आपने, तो इसमें भी तो फ्लूइड का वही मोशन लगना चाहिए. सो यहां पे भी वी शुड हैव whirlpools, है ना. So do we have whirlpools in the atmosphere? Yes sir. What do we call such whirlpools? Very good Vishal. Yes. हाँ, cyclones. Very good. You have seen, है ना. So आपने देखा है कहीं पे cyclone? How many of you have seen? वीडियोस में देखा है, कोई बात नहीं, यहां देख लो. So this is a real time wind movement site of the world, earth.nullschool.net. So what this website shows you is the real time winds on the earth. इस समय कैसा विंड बह रहा है, मे बी 3-4 मिनट का डिले होता है इसमें, ठीक है. So however the wind is moving on the earth right now, they are showing you that thing, okay, and hopefully you can see, make out from this earth ये कौन सा पार्ट है, वो सब दिख रहा होगा आपको. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अभी देखो क्या दिख रहा है, कैन यू सी इंडिया एंड अफ्रीका, ठीक है. सो इफ दिस इज इंडिया एंड अफ्रीका, आई होप एवरीवन आल्सो अंडरस्टैंड्स दैट. Something like this is the equator, right, and something like this is the tropic of Cancer, and somewhere here you have tropic of Capricorn, ऐसा. Right, or let us say 30 degrees kind, something like, okay, let me, rather than these two, let me draw 30 degrees because we need those 30 degrees line. So something like this, you should have the 30 degree here, and something like this, you have the 60 degree here, यहाँ पे, and same ways इधर 30 degrees and 60 degrees, ठीक है. Alright, so in this diagram, can you make out between which latitude should we have the easterlies? Easterly कहां से कहां बह रहा होगा? This is easterly, this is westerly, this is polar easterly somewhat. I have just made it east west, थोड़ा वो north south हटा दिया है just for your understanding. And same ways easterlies, westerlies, easterlies, ठीक है. So can you make out those 6 rivers? 6 rivers of wind, big rivers, easterly, westerly, and within those rivers can you make out and can you see those whirlpools? दिख रहा है, हर एक रिवर में कोई ना कोई whirlpool है. Is it visible? Right, everyone? Yes or no? And as I go on rotating the earth, in different parts you will see different whirlpools. For example, now you are seeing which side? Pacific. So Pacific का whirlpools दिख रहा है. Can you see? This is the westerlies, easterlies moving. ठीक है, and here you have the westerlies, and can you see those whirlpools? दिख रहे हैं? So the way in the river, so which is the main flow of the river? Now please go on answering. Which is the main flow of the river or primary flow of the river? कौन सा है? West to east or east to west? That is the primary flow of the river. And within that primary flow, can you also say that the river also has some secondary flows? है ना? And what are those secondary flows? Whirlpools. So those whirlpools are the secondary flows in the river. Everyone understands? अरे समझ में? But is the secondary flow part of the primary flow? Is it part of the primary flow or no? Is it within the primary flow or no? So every secondary flow is within primary flow only. For example, every cyclone of the tropical region will be within which winds? Every tropical cyclone will always be within easterlies. Every temperate region cyclone will always be within westerlies. अरे समझ में? ठीक है. And hence easterly, the tropical cyclone should move in what direction? Which direction? The river of the direction of the river. कौन सा direction है? So tropical cyclone should also move east to west, and temperate cyclone should move west to east. ठीक है. अब ये सब या तो रट लो या रिवर याद रखो. ठीक है. तो अगर रिवर याद रहा तो रिवर भी समझ गए और उसका साथ साथ विंड भी समझ गए. ठीक है. इज दैट ओके? नाउ बट डज द स्टोरी एंड हियर? नो, द स्टोरी डज नॉट एंड हियर. नाउ लेट अस गो क्लोज टू द रिवर. रिवर का साइड में बैठे हो कभी? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ सिटिंग बाय द साइड ऑफ द रिवर? जब बहुत मन दुखी होता है, सबसे डांट वाट पड़ा, यू वेंट, है ना, या कुछ और हो गया लाइफ में, तो रिवर का साइड में गया, उधर से बहुत सारा पत्थर उठाया, ठीक है, फिर थोड़ी देर बाद देखा वो पत्थर जा क्या रहा है. दिस इज आर इनक्विजिटिवनेस. पहला तो दुखी होके वहां गया था, थोड़ी देर पत्थर फेंका, फिर यू रियलाइज यार ये कुछ तो मजेदार हो रहा है यहाँ पे. ठीक है, एंड दैट्स व्हेन यू स्टार्ट लूजिंग योरसेल्फ. यू नो, वो दुख वो थोड़ा कम होने लगता है. देन व्हाट डू? यू टेक मोर पत्थर, फिर एक इधर एक उधर, देन यू गेट क्लोजर टू द रिवर, है ना, बिकॉज योर नेचर इज टू रिमेन हैप्पी. दुख में रहना हमारा ज्यादा नेचर है नहीं. थोड़ी मोड़ी देर का दुख होता है, रिवर के पास जाके हम वो भी भूल जाते हैं. फिर हम धीरे धीरे वहां, मतलब इफ यू हैव दैट चाइल्ड लेफ्ट इन यू, ठीक है, तो आप उधर जाके थोड़ा खेलना वेलना शुरू करोगे, है ना. उधर पास में जाएगा, देखेगा अगर कहीं मछली दिख गया. हैज दिस हैपेंड? है ना, सबके साथ होता है ये, राइट, प्रोवाइडेड यू हैव नॉट ग्रोन टू मच. जो बहुत ही ज्यादा ग्रोन अप हो गएगा, यार ये क्या मछली हो रही हो, है ना, और कहीं और चलेगा. बट अगर आप में थोड़ा भी वो बचपना बाकी है, दैट्स वेयर यू ऑब्जर्व नेचर. ठीक है, सो व्हेन यू गो क्लोज टू दैट रिवर एंड व्हेन यू आर सिटिंग ऑन द बैंक, हाउ डू यू सी द वाटर फ्लोइंग? And let us say you are sitting not in a very plain region, but you are sitting in a region where there are a lot of stones and bricks and rocks and all. Not bricks, rocks, etc. Right? And the river is not in a flat region. How do you see the water moving? Does the water now move exactly the same ways that you saw from the top? No. The water moves differently. How? Depending on the surface of the river, bottom, the water might go up the rock and down the rock and into the narrow path and widen and turn. Have you seen all this? है ना? So there the water starts behaving differently, and let us say if there's a big crack, the water might go into that and then come out of that. All this is happening. Now why is that happening? Because of the surface features of the river. River का surface जैसा non-uniform surface है. Because of that the water is behaving differently. Ultimately all the water is going in that primary direction, right? But this water is not, even if a big whirlpool comes into that region, if it comes across a rock, it might distort. Yes or no? So that is distorted due to the surface features of the river. Now in this river, which are the surface features which can distort? On the land do we have such features such as mountains, वैलीज, है ना, बहुत सारा कुछ है, रिफ्ट्स, माउंटेन्स, वैलीज, रिजेस, राइट, ऑल ऑफ देम कैन डिस्टॉर्ट द फ्लो, राइट, एंड वेयर विल यू ऑब्जर्व इट? क्लोज टू द सरफेस. सो these features you can only see close to the surface. And what type of flow are these? Are they primary flow of the river? No. Are they secondary flow like the whirlpool? No, they are not even whirlpool. They are tertiary flow. They are because of local features. ठीक है, why is the whirlpool? Because of water pressure. Why is the river flowing in one direction? Because of the gravity. But why is the river doing up and down and going, you know, sidewards and all? Because of surface features. So तीन अलग अलग reasons हैं, and all the three are creating different outcomes. What is causing the whole river to go in one direction? Gravity. What is causing the whirlpools? The different pressure conditions in the water. And what is causing the water going up and down and side and all that? The different surface, bottom surface conditions, because of which. So in the case of earth, will I get similar surface winds? है ना, उसको हम क्या बोलते हैं? लोकल कंडीशन. सो लोकल विंड्स और टर्शरी विंड्स. ठीक है, सो प्राइमरी विंड कौन सा है? इफ आई आस्क यू, प्राइमरी विंड्स, ईस्टर्लीज, वेस्टर्लीज एंड all those. Secondary winds, cyclones, whirlpools. Whirlpool याद रखो, cyclone तो देखते हैं, है ना, whirlpools. And tertiary winds, local winds blowing where? For example, mountain, valley, plains, है ना, ocean to land, hot to cold, all these things. Do we get it? So this way, even in these, and will they be part of the primary only? वो जो आपने रिवर का साइड में पत्थर का वाटर फ्लो देखा, इज इट पार्ट ऑफ द रिवर और इट इज आउट ऑफ द रिवर? पार्ट. सो एवरीथिंग इज हैपनिंग विद इन द प्राइमरी ओनली. डू वी गेट इट? पक्का? Okay, so have you, if I say, if the wind is, so let's say if you go into a mountain in the tropical region and the wind is flowing from the top of the mountain in the west to the valley of the mountain in the east, what wind will that be? Primary, secondary or tertiary? Tertiary wind. And what is the direction? It is flowing from west to east. But it is possible because that's how water moves in the river also. किसी रॉक के ऊपर चढ़ गया तो वो वापस भी तो गिर जाता है ना. So that's perfectly fine because that rock in this case is nothing but the mountain. So if the wind has gone up the mountain, it will come down the mountain also. Simple. Are we understanding this? So do we understand this whole river thing? Okay. So that's exactly why I took this example of a river, because I find this to be the most suitable way to make you understand all the three levels in one go and understand how they are related. Okay. So when we talk of winds, now if I ask you to conclude, okay, what will be the conclusion? कैसा conclude करेंगे? That winds can be of different levels. ठीक है? Which is the biggest level? Primary winds. And which are the examples? Easterlies and all. Then within them or outside them? Within them you can have whirlpools and all, which are like cyclones. And also within the primary winds, not within secondary, but within the primary, you can also have tertiary winds, which are like mountain and valley winds and coast and land winds and all that. ठीक है ना? So they are like tertiary winds, right? And this is the whole integration, and all of this is happening within those three cells, है ना? और वो cell basically कर क्या रहे? Have we talked of this? Have I told you what is happening? Why is there movement in the atmosphere? Very good. Heat transfer. So winds क्या कर रहा है ultimately? Heat transfer. So primary wind is doing heat transfer. Secondary wind is also doing, and tertiary wind is also doing nothing but heat transfer. So all of them are doing just one thing: heat transfer. The way gravity was doing water transfer from higher region to lower region, है ना? So in the river, the gravity is doing the mass transfer, and in the atmosphere, the heat difference is doing the heat transfer. And what is moving that because of that? The air. And that movement of air is what you call as winds. And how many types of winds? 3 types. That's it. ठीक है? So do we understand this? पक्का? Right. So do you want to write this? लिख लें थोड़ा सा. Very good. So what is the subheading that we have written? अच्छा, एक और चीज बताओ. इन द रिवर यू हैव सीन मेनी इंसेक्ट्स एंड एनिमल्स, है ना? देखा है? सो एटमोस्फियर में वो कौन कौन है? आप क्या हो? व्हाट आर यू लाइक इन द रिवर? एनिमल्स तो ठीक है, बट रिवर का एनिमल का इक्विवेलेंट बताइए. आप क्या है रिवर के अंदर? आप क्या हो? फिश हो? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू थिंक फिश है? आप फिश नहीं हो, फिश बर्ड्स होते हैं. द वे इन द रिवर यू हैव फिशेस, इन द एटमोस्फियर यू हैव बर्ड्स, क्योंकि वो बीच में उड़ रहा है. आप क्या हो? आप बॉटम सरफेस इंसेक्ट्स हैं. जैसा रिवर के अंदर बॉटम सरफेस इंसेक्ट्स होते हैं ना, वो नीचे नीचे चलते रहते हैं, है ना? वो रिवर के अंदर ऊपर नहीं आते. उसी तरह आप भी है, आप एटमॉस्फेयर के अंदर नीचे नीचे चलते रहते हैं. और फिशेस कौन है? वो फिश के जैसे, ठीक है? और सब कुछ फ्लूइड में मूव कर रहा है, different states of fluid. ठीक है? Okay. So now let us write this down. So the heading we have written, कुछ लिखा है? नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं लिखा है. So let us write the heading as winds. Okay, winds. So write down right? Write down that the winds in the atmosphere can be grouped. Winds in the atmosphere can be grouped into different types. Can be grouped into different types on the basis of the scale. On the basis of the scale at which they are blowing. On the basis of the scale at which they are blowing. Okay, full stop. The largest circulation in the whole of the troposphere. The largest circulation in whole of the troposphere are the, कौन सा circulation है? Those primary atmospheric circulation are the primary atmospheric circulations, primary atmospheric circulations, namely 3 cells, those 3 cells, and if you want you can write the names for yourself. The 3 cells: Hadley, Ferrel and Polar. Okay, next, within these cells, within and between these cells, surface winds and upper atmospheric winds blow. Surface winds and upper atmospheric winds blow at their respective horizontal levels. Right? Now, which are the upper atmospheric winds? We have done the geostrophic winds. Geostrophic winds, part of which are Rossby waves. This is a new name for you, Rossby waves. Just write it. वो हम बाद में करेंगे what it is. Don't worry. Okay, Rossby waves. Rossby waves and jet streams. Rossby waves and jet streams. Right, so geostrophic winds. In the upper atmosphere, we have the geostrophic winds, the Rossby waves and the jet streams. And on the surface, we have primary surface winds, also known as global winds and planetary winds. Primary surface winds, also known as global winds or planetary winds. Okay. So when you talk of the surface winds, upper atmosphere mein we had the jet streams and Rossby waves, and in the surface we have the primary surface winds, which are the also known as global winds and planetary winds. And which are they? 3 of them, right? They are 10 to 30 degree. Right, now I'm writing 10 to 30 degree deliberately. Keep this in mind. This is your what you call as tropical easterlies. Tropical easterlies. Then 30 to 60 degree कौन सा है? Westerlies. And 60 to 90 degree polar easterlies. They are the primary winds, also known as global winds or planetary winds. ठीक है, तो इन्हीं को हम इन नाम से बुलाते हैं. Okay. Now, within the primary winds, the surface winds, within the primary winds, we have the secondary winds. इसी का अंडर में हमारा secondary winds भी है. Which were the secondary winds? उसको हमने क्या बोला था? Secondary winds, cyclones और whirlpools. So whirlpools. What is a whirlpool? A whirlpool is a spiral motion. Whirlpool is just a spiral motion, and it can happen in both the cases, cyclones and anticyclones. Anticyclone भी तो whirlpool ही था ना, outward whirlpool था. ठीक है. So whirlpools which can be cyclonic or anti-cyclonic. So whirlpools, cyclonic and anticyclonic. दोनों ही whirlpool है. One is outward whirlpool, the another one is inward whirlpool. And then second, now these are the ones which you are not aware of. We call them as ocean, atmosphere, coupled phenomena. Ocean, atmosphere, coupled phenomena. Couple का मतलब क्या होता है? When something comes together and acts. So here what is coming together and acting? Ocean and atmosphere. When they come together and act, you get these phenomena, such as the most important example and the oldest known is monsoon. Monsoon is the oldest ocean atmosphere coupled phenomena that we know. Okay. And then the later ones were what we call as the ocean atmosphere oscillations. Ocean atmosphere oscillations. ठीक है. And the example of ocean atmosphere oscillation, the most well known is El Nino and La Nina. El Nino, La Nina. And then Indian Ocean Dipole, Modoki, Maiden-Julian oscillation, all of them. El Nino, La Nina, IOD, Modoki and Maiden-Julian oscillation. इतना नाम लिख के रखना है. ठीक है. Is this okay? So these are what? Monsoon and ocean atmosphere oscillation. They are what? They are part of oceanic atmosphere coupled phenomena, and these are type of secondary winds. तो ये सबका सब secondary wind है. Why? Because monsoon, does it take place over whole of the earth? No. Does it take place only in the mountain? Again no. It takes place over a large region like cyclone, right? But it does not take place over the whole earth at the same time. ठीक है. Same ways El Nino, La Nina, IOD, everything takes place over a large region but not whole earth, neither very small region. ठीक है. तो वो एक बड़ा phenomena है. ठीक है. So this B was secondary winds, and then C tertiary winds. Tertiary winds, which are also called as local winds. लोकल विंड्स, इनको लोकल विंड्स भी बोलते हैं. ठीक है. टर्शरी विंड्स और लोकल विंड्स. Okay. Now in the local winds you will again have different types such as mountain and sea breeze, mountain and valley, not sea, mountain and valley winds, land and sea winds, mountain and valley, land and sea, and third group as we call hot and cold winds. ठीक है, such as Loo, India में. So Loo is a hot wind, but it flows only in India and maybe Pakistan and parts, but it doesn't flow over whole of the earth. ठीक है, is that okay? So these are your tertiary winds. So primary wind, secondary wind, tertiary wind. Is this clear? They are types of surface winds, and in the upper atmosphere you have the upper atmosphere winds. ठीक है, and this is the whole classification of wind. So ये सारा type का winds है, एक जगह हमने लिख लिया. ठीक है, now we have to do all of them. ठीक है, so should we start or stop? Stop. ठीक है, सर अब हो गया बहुत. Okay, so next class we start from here. कल है, बच गए है ना, बच गए आप लोग फिर तो अब जब भी है we'll start from here. And where do we read it from? वही NCERT and JC Leong. That's it. So online people, I don't see any major doubts, sir. Anything you want me to take up? That nothing. That's it. Thank you.